What is going on, Benzinga Nation, and welcome to Live Trading. My name is Zune. That is my man 13. Ryan's got the day off to do a little bit of golfing. How good is he at golf? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. He's hanging out with the guys, having a great time. 13, good morning to you. Happy Friday, pal. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm liking the way this market's headed down. We've needed this for a while, so let's see what we get.
All right, so we know someone who's got puts. I'm happy for you. I'm sad for the folks that may not have puts, that may have had calls. I mean, if you were invested in Apple, ticker AAPL, I think you may have gotten IV crush. I'm not quite sure because I didn't really take a look at it on that side of things. But, you know, we were so hot. It was a little bit of breather time, I feel, before we go ahead and make things happen. I'll go ahead and change the banners up here in just a moment. But anyhow, welcome to Live Trading.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and talk about Apple, ticker AAPL. They went ahead and reported yesterday. And wow, would you take a look at that? Stayed pretty much, kind of, sort of, within the range of $6, $5, whatever you want to call it. Just nothing really happening. I don't know what the expected move on these things were, but, you know, it didn't go anywhere. But before we go ahead and talk about that, how rude of me. I promise I have manners. Let's say good morning to the folks at home watching. Glenn, Jenny, Alex, Robert, Market Sniper, Shaka, Glenn, AC2000, Beach Bum, Harris. Good morning and welcome. 13, did you have a play on Apple or no?
Oh, I've been in Apple since 165. I haven't sold. It's just something I'm going to probably end up holding for a little while. I don't anticipate that it goes down to 165, but hey, if it does, I'll just add more. I'm
hoping that they get to 200. But I've been saying that since yesterday. I've been saying that for a while, but I mentioned it yesterday as well. 200 is what I want to see Apple back at.
It looks like it's putting in a bit of a head and shoulders pattern at the moment. So we lose the 50-day SMA. We'll start getting more resolution of that pattern. I'm thinking, 200 seems pretty good, but we could end up going lower. I'd think maybe even down to the 200-day SMA.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at Intel, ticker INTC. Went ahead and reported earnings yesterday after hours. And then they said, yeah, listen, that little money that we gave you, the little allowance that we gave you that we legally call dividends, we're going to need to suspend that a little bit. So that, along with any other news impacting the markets here, just straight downside movement. I don't think anyone saw a move of approximately, what was this puppy? 25% to the downside. Lost 7 points. 25% to the downside. Yikes.
Yeah, there could be a little bit of a bounce play here, but very, very short bounce play. That's quite risky if you're willing to take it. As far as this company goes, this is a move that they're going to do in order to restructure how they manage their finances. And it's not a great move if you're an investor, but I don't really think you're going to you're an investor in this if you're just for the dividend. The dividend's quite small comparatively for income compared to other names that you could be in. Yeah. But I think this ultimately might be a better move for the company. They free up some of that cash flow to not spend on dividends, to actually maybe hire some better talent, like a new CEO perhaps. But we'll see if what happens, because this company is going through a bit of a rough patch, firing employees and having to cut dividends. So this will take a little bit to shake out and find a bottom.
The new CEO, do you think that's something that I can find on, like, say, Fiverr? Or, do you think, or
I don't know.
No, we don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. They always seem like inexpensive folks, but I think this is where the strategy was great. The thought process and the outlook in terms of, hey, here's what we see coming up in terms of challenges. Here's a game plan to attack those challenges, especially when you're trying to compete with the AMDs and the Nvidias of the world. I understand they may not be quote unquote direct competitors, but like, come on. How were you such a leader once upon a time? And you are now from the highs, or at least from this high point of 69. I don't know if it was quite higher earlier. You are down 70% in what is the markets are all-time highs. You are not executing. You are not performing. And so I would agree on, hey, maybe we need some new leadership. Maybe it's time for a fresh start. Maybe it's time for us to get some new perspective on things. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Snapchat. Last night when I checked this, I got a bounce from $10. And this is what I'm talking about. Snapchat, ticker SNAP. It was at 10, bounced, and now we're kind of holding. So I'm interested to see on this one if it's going to continue to hold 10 or if we lose it. I think it's a short opportunity here on Snapchat. Any thoughts?
I wasn't quite sure what was going down. I don't think they guided very well. They had earnings yesterday. So weak guidance. So that's probably why we're seeing it so low is the guidance, forward looking profits, not to the expectations of investors. So they want out of this one. If it's a lot of these names are going to be at peak earnings in some cases too. So that might be another reason why we are seeing such rotation out of names like this.
What is the market cap on Snapchat? I'm curious. Let me quickly Google that.
As of today, it says that it's 22.076 billion.
So even with this, not gonna lie, I thought it was worth market cap wise. I thought it was less. It's not, because I was trying to see, hey, maybe you should have sold to Zuck, but I think that offer was for what?
Well, Zuck's not. He's not buying. He's selling right now.
Well, yeah, no, I meant in the sense of like, when the offer was there, and then Zuck said, "Nah, watch this, watch how I do it." But nonetheless, you were kind of within this, $8 area where it kept kind of bouncing back and forth. You see a bunch of gaps, obviously fill the gap. Then we have its own gap, and now you got another gap. So it's Gap City on Snapchat. Not something I use. Haven't used it in about maybe 5 years, give or take. TikTok, hello. That's what kind of rots my brain, not Snapchat, but we'll keep it moving. And good morning to the other folks that joined us. Becca, good morning. Easy Mike. Kolya, I feel like I pronounced that properly. Fairchild, good morning to you. All right. Let's go take a look at the other things that we need to cover. AMZN, ticker Amazon. That said that completely backwards. Can you tell I'm not the regular host of this show? I think I can. Amazon, ticker AMZN. They went ahead and reported, tried to figure out if they liked the report, didn't like the report, did they like the print? Turns out they did not like the print. We were in this continuous range trying to figure out, hey, where are we going to go between 173, 191? Then we finally popped up. Then we came down, started to be in the range. And then finally we are dead down below. If this one gets back to 174 to me, I would go ahead and look to short it and try to take maybe a risk of about $2. Short it around 174, give it about $1.50 to 175.50-ish. And then I would look for obviously at least a 1-to-1 ratio on the profit and loss side to the downside. Amazon, do you use Amazon quite often? Like, is it like an everyday thing, every week thing, or like, nah, I go to Walmart?
Every week for sure. I wouldn't say I use it every day. There's days I don't even go on it at all, just because I don't have any need for stuff at the moment. But
nice.
When it comes to regular household products, sometimes I go on Amazon, but most of the time I'm going right to HEB.
Can I go to Costco? Can I go to Target? Can I go to Walmart and order my towels because I have guests coming over and I want to make sure, treat them right? Because I like, towels are something I'm kind of bougie about, if you will. And I just feel like everyone should have their own. Yes. But do I just prefer to just go to Amazon and say, I'm just going to order these and get it in 2 days? Also, yes. Big user on Amazon. But, they've had some... I think it was something interesting on the call that because we obviously, preview the calls and we listen to the calls here on Benzinga for the shows. And they were mentioning about how their products that they can scale, but the profitability isn't there. Once they kind of lower their margin, or, increase their margins and lower their costs, you can see more and more products become available on Amazon. And at that point, I'm like, bro, isn't already everything on Amazon? Like, come on. But nonetheless, you know what I did order the other day? Okay. I ordered from Amazon. I saw it on TikTok, and then I went to Amazon and bought it because I don't trust TikTok Shop. I don't know how that works. I don't want to give them my credit card information. But I bought the charger situation where you can charge your phone, your Apple Watch. I have a Fitbit, so not an Apple Watch, but your AirPods all in one thing. And I think it's the coolest thing. Has it been out for at least 5 years? Probably, but I just got it. So it is what it is.
Well, with Amazon, Bezos was leading the way, or kind of giving us the clues here. He's been selling ever since whenever it gets up to 200, where lately that's been the case. Up to 200, he's selling in that area. He's also sold earlier this year in January. And the last time he sold in 2 large tranches like that was back in 2021. And guess what happened the next year? Whole market went down, including Amazon. So I think he's kind of giving a signal here that we're headed for a downturn, at least with this company, but probably for the entire market, considering that it's being propped up by just a handful of stocks, this one included.
Well, around when it hit the highs of about 200 or so earlier, It is now down 16 to 17% as we get a print of 167. Of course, who knows? Let's see if it visits. Now, okay. Let's take a look at if there's a gap trade here. Obviously, we can see that there is a gap trade. It is right there. So you have a gap to fill. Let's go ahead and put this handy dandy. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, I'm sorry. Look, see, this is why you go ahead and need a computer to let you know that you're wrong, buddy. There is a gap fill that we need to have all the way to the 160s. So we've got about $6 to go ahead and make that happen, especially if we go ahead and say break this 165 area. I think you can maybe risk $1 or $2 and play it all the way down to fill the gap at 160s because you have negative momentum to the downside. Let's see if we go ahead and get a gap fill trade. Again, you have myself, obviously, for a bit. You have 13 till 10:50. AB, the man, the host from Pre-Market Prep, is going to be joining us at around 9:25 because I've got to hop for a meeting and then I will be back. So just a heads up on that. What other tickers, what other companies went ahead and reported yesterday? You had, that's right. Coinbase. Crypto is hot. And, they were mentioning something about how you can now donate and learn about the candidates. It was interesting. I didn't hear the part of the call that I did hear. I didn't hear them pick a side either way. It was just more so of, hey, we care about crypto. So whoever you want to support in your presidency, feel free to. You can donate to them via crypto with like some third party that they're using. But what are your thoughts on crypto in general? Are you invested in crypto? Like, I don't need to know how rich you are, but you dabble a little.
Well, I did it a lot back in 2020 and 2021. These days I just hold Bitcoin ETFs, not really holding crypto for a long period. There's still some uncertainties I have with it. I know a lot of people like it, and that's fine. It's, trade it how you will. Perfectly fine with me. But for me, I prefer to hold metals. All
right. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a couple of tickers, but were there any that you wanted to go over, or did I just hog them all for you?
Well, there are some movers I could go over, but as far as earnings go, we also did have DraftKings report yesterday, and we also had DoorDash report yesterday, and those were two of interest to us as well in the happy hour. DraftKings, they had a EPS beat and a sales miss, but the company announced a 1 billion share buyback. They also guided higher for 2024, so the hope is that their guide is well met with a robust NFL betting season in order to make the funds that the lawsuits that are going to arise from their canceling of their NFT platform.
Yeah,
I think the hope here is that there's going to be a robust NFL betting season in order to be able to finance the expected headwinds there with that. So that's my thought with as far as DraftKings go. It could I think it did a round trip in the after hours. It went down and right back to where it was before it sold off. I'm not sure what it's at today, but I think this one also.
What was the ticker?
DraftKings, DKNG.
Oh, DKNG.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Man, this thing was, this has kind of been an up and down story too. You see the highs that'll move to the upside, come on down. You obviously now made a lower high. Who knows where it's going? Just so much competition in this space. The advantage that they had was it was cool. It was a sexy thing to do. It was like a young, hip thing to do. And now you have other companies that have kind of come in and eaten their meals a little bit. But that's what you guys see. A couple of ticker requests. I'll go ahead and check out VSee. And then if you want till then after that, you can talk about a couple of the movers because that's not my area of expertise.
VSee is basically the big mover this morning. There's we did get some movement from some other smaller names, but this is the one that's real interesting. And we talked about this one in a happy hour yesterday because it was moving in after hours. This is moving on the company VSee Health because they have an agreement with Ava Robotics to help develop telepresence solutions for the inpatient intensive care market. Now, we do have a wonderful lady who's, I think she might also be in the chat here now, but she was also with us last night in happy hour. She works with VSee, that company, and she says that their products aren't great, but they are growing. So to hear that they are growing is encouraging. Now, as far as a trade goes, let's see here. We're kind of holding around the highs that we made yesterday. So I think for this one, this is going to be one of the ones where we just kind of wait and see what happens at the open because it's set up to move up out of the gate. But I would want to wait to see if that's what we're going to get because a market like today's, I want to exercise more caution. There's a lot of negativity happening right now, so I don't know if we'll get the movement I'm looking for with VSee. So I want to wait and see if we do.
There's 3 levels that I personally have here on VSee, ticker VSEE. All right, 753, as you can see, after hours and also in the pre-market, those were your highs. So that's where you met your resistance, then it came right on back down. Then you have 614, that after hours yesterday, it was acting as resistance, and then today it acted as resistance, popped up, now it's acting as support. Do we see a drop below 614? I personally would not want to trade this. I see Jay Harris talking about, can someone give me a play? I don't know if I can tell you what to do, but I can tell you a couple of tickers like VSee that maybe this is how I would want to play it if it were me. Don't sue me. This is not financial advice. All right, 753. I've got an alert set there. If it broke there on the 2 minute or so, I would go to maybe take a stab at it and build a position up there and maybe try to scale out. If it hits, say, maybe $9, $10, and kind of go from there. Risk for me would be about $1. So that's the one-to-one trade I would have on that side. I wouldn't try to play a bounce play at 614. To me, I'd rather wait till maybe $5. If it gets to $5, then I'd be interested in playing it for a bounce for maybe 50 cents or so. But if it breaks 5 and gets a retest, that's where I would be interested to short this puppy on ticker VSEE. Do you disagree strongly with anything?
No, I like the 614 level. I actually have that marked off as well. It's also right in the area of the 65 EMA on the 5 minute. And the one you're talking about beneath that, near 5, I have the 200 EMA on the 5 minute. I'd be looking at those for support. We don't get that, then this is off my screen and I'm done with it. It's also beneath VWAP, currently trying to move up and beyond it right now. So if we get a recapture of VWAP before we open, I'd be looking for VWAP to hold it and now help me determine if I want to get into this or not, at the open.
All right, perfect. Did you have any other movers that you wanted to go over? I know someone asked for it in the chat. I can't remember who.
Well, I did.
Matt Silva.
What is he asking for?
Just movers, if you had any that you were taking a look at. You know what Ryan does, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm good with.
Well, the only other one I was looking at today was AKAN. This is a cannabis stock. It was moving on no news. I'm not sure about this one. It does have a 1.9 million share float, so it is going to be easy to move around if traders are going to come after this one today. The thing is that they just did a 1-for-40 reverse split back in May on the 23rd, and when I was looking at their financials, they don't have a whole lot of cash. They're going to need to raise that, so I expect this company to make some kind of an offering to raise money at some point soon. So there could be some great volatile movement in this one, but be careful because I do think they are going to try to raise cash. All
right, we had someone talk about Dell. And if there are other tickers that I missed, Jay Harris, I see LLY. I'll go over that here in just a second. Let me talk about Dell. You have Dell. We had this cute little trend line on the daily. We went ahead and broke it. There was no clean test. I don't know if intraday you got a test and a chance to play it or not. Then you had a bit of a gap down, and then you're continuing the movement to the downside. Now, we did go ahead. Oh, would you look at that? I don't know when I drew this line, so I'm not going to take credit for anything. But if you look left, you had this area of the 106 is acting as support, and that's exactly where you got a little bit of a bounce a couple of days ago. Now you're below that. So how do we play it? Well, again, this is how I'm thinking about playing it if I were to play it. I would see if we get a retest around this 105, 106 area. My stop loss would be probably maybe $1 or so. What's interesting is you have a bit of a gap that you may want to, or at least according to these charts, you got a gap that you may want to think about filling. But to me, $100 is where I'd look to find support. You can see in the pre-market, we got about 60 cents away from it, and it bounced up about $2.50. $100 is where I'd look for support. And then you also got support at the $95 level. And not only that, you've got a gap to fill at 95 as well. So if this goes ahead and breaks, I think you can possibly get a chance to play the gap fill at 95.
Yeah, I think your gap fill is probably going to happen. We're currently trading in pre-market beneath the 200-day SMA. Losing that because that I think that was a 105 bounce or 106 bounce that you were talking about. That was right near the 200-day SMA. So we've got a little bit of support from that moving average, and now we've broken beneath it. So I would think that more in play than not is that downside gap fill to the 95.
All right, we will take a look at what happens on that. And I think it was LLY that someone wanted us to take a look at. Let's go ahead and take a look at Eli Lilly. Not a ticker I'm familiar with, but obviously it is, it's not like a penny stock. I want to typically say that. But it's not something I trade often. I'm not really sure I see anything outside of this right here, but it's already kind of played. But you had support, broke, acting as resistance at the 838 area. And obviously you are about 20 bucks down from that. So if you're looking to go long, you obviously need to break this 840 area for me to feel comfortable. And maybe you can get a bit of a move to the upside. But outside of that, I'm not sure how else I'd want to play this one.
So Eli Lilly, this is the one that's been benefiting the most from the GLP-1 semaglutide weight loss drugs, like Ozempic. So that's why you've seen such movements in this one lately. Now, one of the things that's been happening is that the CEO has mentioned that the shortage of those particular drugs is ending. So we might see that supply to demand ratio kind of normalize. Now, as far as a trade here, what I see with this daily chart is that this is kind of putting in a bit of a bear flag. One to the upside, if we go that direction, I think that the 50-day SMA, which is about 867, I'd say that would be the high end for today. But to me, I think we're going to go lower, and I don't know how low we go. We might find support just above 780 if it ends up going that direction, but I don't know that we'll even get beneath 800. So not sure about this one. It's got a really large float, almost 800 million shares. That kind of supply makes it hard to move it in the direction you want it to go. It's going to be in the direction that everybody wants to go. And if people want out of this, that's where it's going to go. It's going to go down.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple other tickers. So someone mentioned Nvidia in the chat. There's no way we can start the day without looking at Nvidia. Let's go ahead and go to maybe the 30-minute to get a bit of a better picture. We were waiting for the break of 106. We finally got it, but it came in the after hours and it came it came in the pre-market, so it's already kind of broken those levels. You can see support, broken, support, broken. Then you have pre-market where it tests it, and that support ends up becoming resistance. If I were to short this, I would say maybe about 106.50-ish, 108.50 is where I would go ahead and get out. That's a $2 risk that you're taking, looking for a $2 bounce. And $100 is where it bounced from in the after hours after AMD reported, I believe, on Tuesday, end of day. Maybe it wants to test $100 in the normal session, in the trading session that we're also used to see if we can get buyers to go ahead and step up there as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at Disney. What's up?
With Nvidia, you actually have marked off there a gap. That 96.12, I think you had. That's where the gap that we're about to fall into goes. Now, that gap's from back in May, the 22nd to 23rd, and we're getting pretty close to where that gap begins. So that's another thing I'd be watching for, is if we enter that gap down or not.
So what I've got is that gap beginning at about 101.52 or so.
Yep.
It'd be really cool if we entered the gap, bounced from 100, hit the gap, found resistance, and then continue to way downside to knock on the door of 96. If that happens, someone clip this and make me sound like a genius. Please. I appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at let's see what other things we've got.
I think you wanted to look at Disney. I think that you almost clicked that before
I did. I was taking a look at the chat, see if there's anything else they wanted. But you have a gap here on Disney that you're looking to fill. Or did it?
It already
did. I was going to say, why did it not go away? That's what threw me off. Bat scanner. All right. Yeah, so you went ahead and filled the gap, so nothing really happening there. But again, it's just another way where it's like, hey, we actually mentioned this when I remember us talking about it, where you had the move to the downside, you got the up, and then you got the retest in normal sessions just earlier this week, and then you got the gap filled. Yeah, I definitely remember us talking about this during live trading. Here goes MKDW is what Kingdom Lamb is saying. Popped all the way to about the $8 range, now back down to $4. Let's go ahead and take a look if there's any way that I'd want to play this.
This is an IPO, it looks like.
I would say above 5. It could get me interested. Let's see, right there. So you had resistance, popped up, held a support, broke, so resistance again. So I would say about $5.
Business combination. Okay,
is where I'd be.
Kingdom Lamb, do you know what this was a business combination from? I'm sorry, I'm being lazy and not looking myself, but if you know, that'd be helpful.
Lazy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Check a look at something else. Nope, nothing happening on that side. Okay.
Quantum saying Walmart's been doing well, and that's probably going to be the case with some of these grocer retailers. As CPI has been showing us, people are starting to want to cook at home and eat at home instead of eating out because it's getting way too expensive to go out to restaurants. I personally think restaurants are going to have a hard time. Grocers are going to do better. That's kind of what the theme is that we're on right now in Happy Hour. One of them anyway.
All right. Any other tickers that you guys want to take a look at? Let us know. Oh, how dare we not go through the SPY? How dare we not go through the market ticker of SPY? All right, here's what we've got. Obviously, you know, what was it? The 550 is what I wanted to play. But for now, we will go ahead and take a look and draw some levels out at about the 538 area. You can see you had support, broken in the pre-market. Now let's see if it holds up. So another area, you can go kind of short there, but I would also like to go short closer to 540 or so. That's how I'd want to go ahead and play this. If it goes closer to 540, I'd look to go short, maybe risk about $1 or $2, period. Would you guys buy CMG long term? No clue. No, you wouldn't. So short term or long term? No.
No.
Nothing.
Well, it looks like it was asked, why did you guys buy CMG? I didn't buy CMG.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just replying to what Bryce was asking. Yeah, I do believe restaurants are going to do worse. CMG, I believe this is just a bounce. I still think this could potentially end up going lower. That and Kava as well. I just think people aren't going to be going out to restaurants as much if they're going to be cooking from home. And I don't like CMG or Kava or really any restaurants right now.
All right, give me a sec here.
I know some people want to play CMG. I'm not one of those folks.
Yeah, I feel you. Let me go ahead and check out. Ooh, give me 1 second. Sorry, I have to take a look at this.
We have about a minute and 10 seconds before we open. Nice thing about the SPY is that we're finally beneath the 5% pullback level. That is 5% off the all-time high of 565.16. That level, 536.90. That was a 5% pullback. We are trading beneath that right now. Next level I have to the downside is going to be the previous all-time high of 535.42. Not really interested in that particular level. I think if we're going to trade down today, the level I'm interested in is going to be 533. That's the level I think we could end up getting some more robust support.
All right. Well, speaking of support, here is my support for the time being for about 30 minutes or so. What's up, AB? Appreciate you for hopping on, man. You YOLOing anything before I go?
No, I had some Tesla puts that expired today, but I sold them yesterday for a little gain, and I'm wishing I would have held on because they're getting closer and closer to my strike price.
All right. Well, I'll let you share your screen and take it away. I've got to hop for a call here. I will be back in 30 minutes or so. Appreciate you, pal. Peace.
AB, we're about to open.
What is up, man? Yeah, not a pretty open today. Looking like after employment numbers were a little bit lackluster. Might be looking like I am, bro.
Oh, see it. See it.
I'm doing it right now.
All right, here comes VSee on the way down. This is why we wait.
There we go. All right, I'm out. Peace.
See it.
All right, so we had let's just go a quick run through the overall indices before we open. The S&P 500 trading down about a little bit more than 1.3% here. Go over to the Qs, a little bit weaker, down more than 2%. I mean, the volatility here in the big tech market continues. You can see this week, we had yesterday was a big down day, down more than 2.4%. Big green day on Wednesday, up 2.96%. Big red day the day before. I mean, just a bunch of volatility here in the Qs past couple weeks here. And so looking like today might be another more volatile day. You have the DIA, the Dow. Of course, you had some bigger oil companies report earnings this morning, Chevron and Exxon. Ding, ding, ding. We are officially open here on the market. Let's go see how the stocks that reported earnings last night are trading. Amazon getting absolutely clobbered, down more than 9% today. You got to go back to April 2024, about 3.5 months ago, before you find a spot where Amazon was trading that low. Apple holding up a little bit better than its peers in the Magnificent Seven, trading down, but only slightly. 13, what are you watching this morning?
Well, I'm taking a look at, because I wanted to trade VSee. I'm just waiting to see if that one's going to find a bottom. This was a mover yesterday after they reported that they are going to be working with Ava Robotics to bring telehealth to the medical industry. It's basically another company like Teladoc. Apparently, their products aren't great, but the company is growing.
Got it. Which ticker was that again?
That's VSee, VSEE.
VCEE?
No, VSEE.
Got it.
So just watching that one. That one was the big mover that I had on my list today. Not a whole lot of movers this morning as well, because the market is not happy with the way things have been going with earnings in the after hours yesterday, with Amazon and Apple and DraftKings and all these reporting. Some of them had great earnings, but they just didn't guide very well. The consumer is actually weakening. We are going to see GDP lower, in my opinion, in Q3, especially after Hurricane Beryl, the CrowdStrike fiasco, and fires in California. There's a lot of economic headwinds coming up, that are happening right now. So I think we might see a lowered Q3 with the next GDP report when we start getting that report come out.
Yeah, and now it's looking, pretty certain like the Fed will cut rates in September. But the question is, have they waited too long? Are they too late? Does it help that much if you're cutting rates into a slowing economy, a recessionary environment? Again, looking at just the Qs chart here on the daily, you got to go back to the first week of June. So 2 months ago, the last time we were trading around the $450 level here. And this could actually be some, this level right here could be a potentially important support zone, because as you can see, you had all this resistance right around 455 here. And if you blow through that, the next lows you go to are all the way down to 414. And if we go from 504 to 415 or so on the Qs, that's a huge drawdown. And you typically don't see those outside of bear markets, would be about 20% there. So again, like this, it could be a very important level for the Qs to hold. And of course, you look at some of the holdings within the Qs that will be their biggest weightings. Nvidia down another 5% today after getting absolutely clobbered yesterday. I mean, it was just a couple days ago that Nvidia closed up more than 12%. So you have a basically $2.5 trillion company that's trading like a penny stock here, going up 12% one day, down. Yesterday, we closed down more than 6%, down another 5% today. The day before the big day was down 7%. And then again, on Wednesday, you closed up more than 12, almost 13%. So this has just been some wild whipsaw, crazy roller coaster moves in the market. And it's one of those times where it can be fun if you're day trading and you really like the extra volatility. But for a lot of us that just kind of hold stocks and look at our portfolios, it's a little bit worrisome when you open them one day and your whole portfolio is down, 2.5%. The other biggest holdings in the Qs, of course, Apple, which we talked about, getting a bounce here. Apple is now perking up a little bit. Let's go to a 2-minute chart here so you can see kind of at the open. Right here where the color changes is at the open. The stock bounced up, now traded back down a little bit, right around $220 here for Apple. This red candle here on the 2-minute chart starting to form a little bit, but looking to see if Apple can get a bounce, because that is, again, the one bright spot in the Mag 7 right now. You go across to the other Mag 7 stocks, Tesla down, another percent. You go to Meta, which, had the big earnings report, but since gave up a lot of those gains, trading down a little bit as well. Let's see. You had Amazon, Meta. Oh, Netflix. We haven't looked at Netflix at all either as well. So either way, I mean, 13, are you trading these big boy tech stocks at all? Or are you sticking more to the smaller names?
The smaller names that move in the morning is what I like to trade, in the beginning of the day. These larger names, they're more for longer term investments. I actually already, own Apple and Amazon, but I bought all that back in, I bought Apple back when it was 165. That was back in April. I got Amazon back in October for 110. So, those are just long-term positions. I'm not day trading these right now. I prefer just to let them do their thing. I want to capture some more volatile movement, but I'm not really getting that today either.
So what else is on your list besides VSee?
Well, I was also looking at AKAN. That was the other mover. And I only had a couple movers that I was looking at today. This might be a day where I just kind of sit on my hands and just let things shake out. I'm also holding SQQQ. So that's been doing well. Probably, close those positions or most of it today. I'm just kind of, taking it easy today. This is a big downturn in the market. It's summer chop, July. We're, a lot of institutional investors are still on vacation. We won't see them come back until probably about September. Just a lot of, like you said, a lot of choppiness, a lot of outsized moves. And we're going to get that too, as this market tries to find a top. We saw the same thing happen in late 2021. A lot of big outsized, moves, like 2% moves almost every day in the SPY, for example, when we were topping out back then. So we could end up getting a lot of that too as well. And I don't want to be on the wrong side of a trade. So it's sometimes better just to not trade a lot or sit on your hands and just let the market do its thing. So I'm just going to be a little bit more careful today.
Yeah. And I mean, as we get closer to this September rate cut, I think it's time we can start looking at some of these industries that should benefit from a rate cut. Now, the question is, how much do these industries benefit from a rate cut if that, rate cut comes on the backdrop of a type of recessionary environment? So I'm looking at like the regional banking ETF, the clean energy ETFs. You can go to iClean, ICLN, the iClean, the iShares Global Clean Energy ETF. All of these industries have basically been, begging and needing rate cuts for a while now. And, it's one thing to finally get them. But again, if it's, the economy is slowing to a point where the rate cuts might not be even enough to boost these sectors. But I expect to see some extra volatility across, the solar. You look at the TAN ETF, you look at iClean, KRE, which is the regional banks, which is getting absolutely crushed today. So could be something to watch here, just because if it looks like, pretty much everything is moving lower, then maybe some of these industries that, again, are more interest rate cut sensitive could be something to watch. And we can go look at let's look at the FinViz heat map right now, which I hate to pull up, competitor, but I'm curious to see what all is in the green today, if anything. Why isn't this loading?
I'd imagine it'd be probably industrials, maybe some utilities, the defensive names for when recession is expected. Probably let's see a lot of that.
I don't know why this isn't loading right now, but either way, let's go back to our Benzinga Pro, because that does load. And let me know in the chat if you guys got any tickers you want to check out. Looks like Robert Bumgarner wants UVIX. Is that a VIX reading?
Here that's the Bull VIX ETF. There you go. Now, as far as the XLU goes, which is utilities spider ETF, this is what I was getting at about how there could be some there's probably rotation into defensive names like utilities and industrials, like defense names. This is a great example. XLU has had a pop here. It's gapped up. So that shows you that there's a significant rotation into that particular sector. I think investors are just trying to be defensive at this moment.
Yeah, I did see someone in the chat said they're going long Nvidia. You look at Nvidia actually getting a little bit of a pop today, or off the open here. We'll go to the 2-minute chart. You can see here got as low as here right after the open, got as low as 102. And you can see the huge volume bar here in our Benzinga Pro. We're looking at a 2-minute chart. Since then, since that 102, this thing's basically gone straight up to 107. And a lot of people have felt like they missed the boat on Nvidia, have missed the boat on some of these semi names. Now looking at them, they've drawn down 20%, entered a technical bear market. Could be an opportunity to buy if you were looking at buying, but you didn't want to buy at the all-time highs, around $100, obviously the very psychological level. The other day, Nvidia got down to exactly 101, $100.01, and then popped from there all the way back up to 120. So I've been watching Nvidia too, and there's different ways to play it. Obviously you have short-term options. You could have been buying ones that expire today, but I'm actually looking at longer dated options for Nvidia, because I think as we get a couple more earnings reports, there's a chance that this thing, continues to make new all-time highs. Wow, this thing, off the open here again, another $5 here up on Nvidia. Let's go to the overall semi, see if that's the case for kind of all of them or just Nvidia. Yeah, it looks like the SOXX, the iShares Semiconductor ETF as a whole, getting a pop here this morning. Let's go to some other individual stocks in there. Intel, man, ugly for Intel, down 28% today. AMD. Oh, wait, look at AMD. Strong day for AMD on a day where tech is getting crushed. AMD popped higher. Looked like it got up to around 137 before trading down a little bit here, forming that red candle here on the 2 minute. So AMD, Nvidia, at least if you're talking about just off the open, have been strong.
Yeah, it's been a bad couple of days for AMD. So this is probably a little bit of a overselling bounce that we're seeing with AMD. I still think this could end up going lower next week. I'd be looking at under 120 for starters. Thing is that we have some moving averages bearing down against the 200-day SMA. We get across the 50 to the downside over the 200 EMA SMA. That's a death cross, and implies that there's further downside to come. This whole we're going to see some. I believe we're going to see some bounces like this in the tech sector as we continue to go down. I don't think this selling in tech is finished.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, when you're talking about downturns like this, you hear a lot about it. You don't really want to try to time the bottom perfectly. It's hard to do. You kind of want to wait for that trend reversal. And speaking of trend reversals, I mean, the first 15 minutes the market is open, you can often see a lot of different fake outs and things. So just because the Qs have now moved higher by a significant margin since the open. I mean, you look at the Qs went from 448 all the way up to 452 here. So up $4 or $5 in the last 15 minutes since the open. Doesn't mean that's going to be the trend for the day. So if I was coming in here and just trying to buy the dip on the overall tech market, I'd want a little bit more conviction showing from the market that, okay, we are ready to turn around here, because you're talking about a significant drawdown from $505 down to 450 here. Again, we're on the daily chart. We'll go back to the 2 minute chart here to look at how this price action has been this morning. So either way, I mean, however you want to dice it up, it's been an ugly week for tech overall. You did have that one good day on Wednesday. But again, I'm not trying to be that brave and hopping in here and buying right at the bottom. I'd rather wait a little bit here.
Oh, there's no room for heroism right now, and to the upside or downside. If you're going to trade, I think it's just best to stick with day trades. That's just the way to go. Just be in cash at the end of every day. Don't try to hold things. This is just what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be holding anything. For the into this market that I think is going to turn around and do well. I don't think that's the mentality to have right now. The market's weak. There's a lot of concerns. There's concern that, like you were saying earlier, with the rates and Powell, that they may have waited too long. I think a lot of the market is kind of reacting to that, as well as the jobs report, not because the Powell was directing a lot of attention to this next report that we got this morning. Unemployment is rising, so now it's outside of their year-end projections. If you look at their projection materials that they gave us in June. We're going to be getting an update on that in September, so we'll see what they say about that. I think the Fed's going to have a lot of pressure put on them going forward. So we'll have to wait and see what they say about that at the next FOMC meeting. But we also have the economic symposium first in August on the 22nd through the 24th, I believe.
Got it. Looking at some tickers from the chat, looks like someone said TBIO halt down. This is Telesis Bio Inc. I don't even know what this company does. Let's go to Benzinga Pro. Telesis Bio Inc. is a synthetic biology company focused on enabling researchers to rapidly, accurately, and reproducibly, I didn't know that was the word, build or write high-quality synthetic DNA and mRNA that is ready to use in many downstream synthetic. All right, so it's a little like a pre-stage biotech company. Looks like market cap $7 million, so pretty small company here. I'm not sure what the news was or if there was news here, but we did have, actually, we can go check in Benzinga Pro. No, so this has been volatile, it looks like, all week, because Wednesday shares got halted on the upside. Still up 15 or 16% this morning, but I guess halted down here to the downside because you had the stock drop from $6 down below $4. It's a pretty hefty move here in about 5-10 minutes there for that. Other tickers in the chat, I saw someone talking about Akanda Core. Akanda trading up 20%. This is another little penny stock. Wow, really small company, only about a $2.7 million market cap here. AKAN looks like, just go looking at the 2 minute chart here. Pretty volatile here. You can see the big volume bar as we got up to the $2 level and then sold off there.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I was looking at this morning. This was VSee in this one. This is a cannabis company. So they might be getting a pump somewhere from that, but there's no news that's driving this right now.
Okay, other stocks from the chat. McDonald's ripping. Haven't looked at McDonald's this week. Obviously, big tech has been in focus with the big earnings reports coming from companies like Meta, Amazon, Apple, etc. McDonald's reported last week, but McDonald's up 2%, maybe potentially seen as a flight to safety here on a couple days where the market's been getting beat up. You can see the chart here. This is the daily chart for McDonald's. We were at and about all-time highs right up here at 300, and you have the golden arches pattern on the McDonald's chart here, and it came all the way down to around 240. You had the earnings report. Since then, the stock has come booming back from around 240 to 275. So McDonald's could be approaching a third golden arch pattern on the chart. I don't know what that means. You would think seeing the company's logo in its chart would be potentially a bullish sign, but I don't know. Anytime you're seeing that kind of double top forming pattern, usually not the strongest pattern for a stock. So either way, you did see McDonald's sell off from 300 down to 250, but now getting that bounce back, and you are in a clear uptrend here. You do have some overhead resistance here around 276, 280. So I'd be watching that level. If you break through this 280 level, and it probably won't be today, might not be on Monday, but sometime in the next couple weeks, then it could be gap fill time up to $300. So McDonald's, I never even looked at this in the past couple days, adding it to my watch list.
For this one, McDonald's, I noticed that the double top, the golden arches you were talking about, that's hilarious. But the thing that I'm looking at right with this one is that they are getting resistance from their 200-day SMA right now. That's what we traded up to this morning, is right to that level. It's also trying to recapture the 500-day SMA. Now, what I'd want to see in order to be bullish on this is I would want to see that recapture of both those SMAs. I want to see closes over them for a few days. That would give me more confidence to get into this. If we cannot recapture that, then I think we're turning around and we're going back down. I'd be looking at downside to let's call it 264 is where I would be looking for the first bit of downside to go. If we cannot hold that, then we are probably going beneath 250. What happened? I think I just lost AB. There he is.
I'm here. WINT could be creeping up again. We'll go check that out. Just keep throwing tickers in the chat and we'll bounce around because there's so much to talk about today. I mean, we obviously had that unemployment number. We've mentioned the interest rate cuts. So let's go here on a 2-minute chart because this is all right. So WINT chat is liking these small companies today. I know that's what you guys typically, are finding these like small cap movers. I mean, $6 billion company here. Windtree Therapeutics is we're looking at let's go to a 2-minute chart here on Windtree. You can see right off the open there, you did get a little bit of drop there to right around $10 flat, and then has since bounced back up, got to 1060, sold off a little bit. So, interesting chart there for Windtree.
I was asked by Market Sniper, what levels do I see for DRMA? So real easy, because right now this looks like it's trying to bull flag right now and break out of that high that it put in this morning, which I have at 347. So 350 could be one level, but another one that I'd be looking at is I'd be drawing from levels that we got back on July 24th. So if I look at, let me just bring this up on my other chart here. I'll give you some better levels for that one. But July 24th is where I would start drawing levels. Oh, okay. Well, looks like I have some levels on here already. 580 is the next upside target above 345. So if we break out of 345, that's where I would be looking at. And there's a bit of a, supply zone to get through. And I'm sure that was put in from July 24th. But beyond 580, we have 675 and 765. Those would be my upside targets if we break out of 345. Hopefully that helps you, Market Sniper. Was asking me thoughts on PM. Take a look at that.
All right, which one?
Tobacco company, PM, Philip Morris
Philip
International.
Morris. Yeah.
So this is an interesting angle, because if we are headed to a recession and we are seeing people lose their jobs, one of the things that we've discussed is how they may turn to their vices. So we could see an increase in alcoholism, gambling, smoking cigarettes. So people are losing their jobs, and the economy is headed for a downturn, and things aren't looking great. That's what people, gravitate towards when they are going through tough times. They want to, have that instant gratification. They want to have, still have a good times, and they'll go towards their vices. So that's alcohol, that's cigarettes, that's gambling. Those things are definitely on deck for potential moves if that's where this economy is headed, I believe. Cokes and smokes, says Purgatory Park.
Yep. All right. The FinViz heat map is up. Let's go ahead and pull that up, because I just am, again, curious to see. I mean, outside of McDonald's, I don't know really what's green today. Okay. So you got Apple slightly in the green. And again, this is on 15-minute delayed data. AMD, again, we mentioned that, showing some strength against its peers in the semiconductor. Banks for the second day in a row. I mean, the banks got crushed. You had Warren continuing to sell Bank of America. Some rumors that he might be selling Apple as well. More Apple, because he already did sell some Apple. Restaurants, McDonald's, Starbucks, you're seeing in the green there. Chipotle, which is the stock you guys were talking about when I hopped on, trading slightly lower. Amazon just absolutely crushed. The autos a little bit in the red. Utilities, always seen as a flight to safety. The energy stocks, Duke Energy, you can see there. Constellation, those stocks have been holding up pretty well. Industrials, waste management there. So you are seeing a few pockets of green here, but overall, you look at the big boys, the companies that comprise the majority of the market capitalization on the market right now. Deeply in the red, Nvidia, AVGo, Microsoft, Amazon, you name it in the tech sector, chances are it's in the red. And I mean, Intel, holy cow, down 27%. I mean, at some point, that's got to be a buy. I'm not saying I'm going in and buying the dip, catching that falling knife, because that is a falling knife of all knives. That's like a freaking big machete falling off of the Eiffel Tower. You're not trying to catch that as it's coming down. I'd rather wait till it hits the ground. You could see you'd probably still see all the blood on it from people that were trying to catch the falling knife. And then eventually, I'm fine being late to the party. I'm fine if Intel stock starts coming, starts flattening out a little bit, starts coming up even a little bit. I'm fine missing out on some percentage points there at the bottom. If it means that I'm not coming in and buying it where it's going to come down another 10, 20% from there.
That's the knife that cut the dividend.
Yep. All right, let's go back to our Benzinga Pro though here. And, actually we could just pull up Intel's chart here, because you are now hitting levels you have not seen since 2015 in Intel, almost 10 years ago. So let's give this a quick little refresh here. Boeing,
if anything, it could even be an RSI bounce play, like it kind of has been already this morning.
Yeah, I mean, again, looking at the 2-minute chart here. Okay, you're right. You did get a little bounce here from right around $20. Let's go to a weekly chart here, which we don't usually typically do on this show, but the weekly chart on Intel, as you can see, boom, you got to go all the way back to now February 2013 on Intel. You could go back to 2004. You could go back to damn near 1998, and that's where this thing was trading. 1997. That's where this thing was trading. So Intel, I mean, if you've been holding this on for, 26 years now, 27 years, you're back where you started. Intel, not too long ago, it felt like was trading at $50 a share in April 2024. So that was 3 months ago. And now you're looking 4 months ago, and now you're looking at it at $21. So Intel, an ugly looking chart there on the weekly. But I'll be continuing to watch it, because we know Intel. I'm not ready to say like, oh my God, this means Intel's going out of business. It's a zero. So eventually could be a buy at some point. And I see some people in the chat talking about Boeing as well. Kind of a similar story here. Boeing got that bounce after announcing a new CEO on Wednesday. We'll go to the 2-minute chart here first. We'll see how it's trading, just straight down after the opened at around 175, went straight down to 170. We'll go to a daily chart here on Intel. Sorry, Boeing. I mean, Boeing has just been ugly. We know it's been ugly. If you're coming in buying Boeing here, I'm not going to say it's like a dumb purchase because, you know, there are only two airplane manufacturers in the world, Boeing and Airbus. You got to assume Boeing's going to come back at some point. But I think part of buying here, Boeing, I'd be, you know, more willing to buy it if I was going to be holding it for years. I don't know how you're trading this right now, other than maybe just waiting for pops and shorting it. Or waiting for pops and buying puts. But if you're buying right here, you have to be willing to endure a little bit of volatility because we know the recovery path for Boeing is going to have a little bit of turbulence, no pun intended. So Boeing here, you know, again, do I see value in it? Yes. Is it probably going to be higher in 10 years from 170? Yes. Does that mean that there's never going to be a point where it trades lower than this? No, of course not. This could get back down to its lows of around 120. So again, like only be buying Boeing if you're willing to endure some volatility, willing to sit on some losses.
Yeah, there's a lot of headwinds going on with this company, and the CEO change, that's going to be a positive, but investors are going to want to see some quarterly reports that reflect that change. They want to see the performance of the CEO over time before they really get confidence enough to start picking this up in droves again. The other thing is that this company just has a lot of headwinds going for it in terms of things that's not working out with their products. You know, of course, we all know about the crashes and the door plugs, and now they have their Starliner issue in space where they've essentially got some astronauts stuck up there, not unable to use it to return to Earth. And then I just recently saw that one of their Chinook helicopters, no, I'm sorry, not Chinook, the Ospreys. I believe they also make those. That had a crash. I forget where it was, but they also had a crash. I saw the news yesterday about that. So just more and more things piling up for this company that just aren't great. I still think there's more downside ahead. I don't think that really don't even bother trying to catch this knife. I think you'll get cut on the way down. Just wait until it actually lies flat.
Yeah, here someone's in the chat talking about SMCI. Yeah, officially cut in half here from over $1,200 a share to below 600. Look at the 2-minute chart here. And this thing has traded lower since the open, not catching the same bounce that your Nvidia's did. And I mean, Nvidia just gave that bounce straight back up. I mean, it went to 107, straight back down to 104. And that's what I was talking about, that oftentimes in the first 15 minutes of trading, you can see those fake outs. And I like to wait a little bit longer than that to see if I can find a sustained trend for the day after that first 15 minutes, because often that first 15 minutes, you're going to get a reversal from there. Apple stock now up 2%. So the market deciding that it did end up liking that report, despite the kind of weak backdrop that it gave that report in. I mean, if Apple had gave this same report on a different day or a different week where the market was more tech heavy, this thing could be up 5, 6, 7% on this. So seeing Apple get a little bit of a bounce there, I think the only Mag 7 stock actually in the green as Amazon continues to move lower. You have Tesla holding up there actually, decently well. You have, let's see, Netflix is trading lower 1.5%. Meta.
Meta was green this morning. They went red.
Yeah, Meta, you had that reversal as well. Meta popped back up to above 500, came back down to that $500 level. Could be a big level for Meta. Google trading down about 2% here as well. So Mag 7 overall in the red. Apple, your one bright spot of the day. Let's check in on the oil companies that reported this morning, because these can also be seen as a flight to safety as money flies out of big tech, because you got the dividend, you've got these companies. We know even in an economic slowdown is not great for oil companies as it crushes, global demand. But people still going to need to drive. People still going to need to get to and from work as long as they've got jobs. So Chevron and Exxon both in the red this morning. Or sorry, Exxon is slightly in the green. Chevron in the red after its report. And Chevron had a big red day yesterday too, closing down. So however you want to dice it up, there's definitely weakness in this market across different sectors. It's not just the big tech market. And again, the one bright spot so far this morning has been those utility plays. You look at your Duke Energies of the world in the green, as they are seen as your flights to safety.
Yeah, my favorite holding for utilities has been IDU. This is a iShares utilities ETF, and the difference between this one and the XLU is that they have WM, Waste Management, and I believe RGS is the other one. I wanted the Waste Management angle. So yeah, Regis Corp. So they have those two holdings more heavily weighted than the XLU does. That's why I like it. But XLU is still a great ETF. So been pounding the table on utilities for a while. This is a great sign to see, and it could continue for a little while too, as this whole fiasco plays out.
All right, well, I see Zunaid hopping back in. Thanks for letting me hop into live trading with you guys for a little bit today.
Thanks, AD.
Zunaid, I'll let you take over the screen share. 13, always great to catch up. Chat, stay civilized for these guys. We know it's a tough day, but, thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate you, pal. Take care, man. We will see you later. All right. Well, there is my alert on Snapchat as it broke $10. Don't ask me why I'm talking like that. All right, let's go to the.
Why'd you stop talking like that?
I felt like I was going to offend somebody. I'm not
okay.
quite sure of, I got to be a little careful. All right, but so, I mean, dang, it broke 10 and it came back up, and then it said, nah, we're going to see if we want to test it again or not. But if you were to go short Snapchat, you would have your stop loss at around 1050 or so. Matter of fact, let me see where is mine? Let me log in here.
Market Sniper, I think you might be getting that DRMA break over 345. I know we did do it once and get up to 350. Might be gearing up to try again here. Just be mindful of these upper shadows we've been getting lately.
All right, let's go Snapchat.
That's good to hear, Fritz.
I'm going to go short 200 shares.
Yes, Lynn Williams, that was FinViz that he was using.
I can't locate 200 shares. What? All right, we'll find something else to trade. All right, let's take a look at what's happening around. Let me actually go back here and then take this off.
Parker's Thinker Swim saying QQQ, if it can't hold 449.34, then I see the next support at 417 on the weekly. Take a look at that. Weekly. She's talking about. That's a bit of a drop down there. So we're looking close to the 50-week SMA, just beneath that actually, kind of down where these those April lows were, I believe is what you're kind of looking at, right?
Sorry, on what one?
Oh, I was just kind of talking to Parker Tiggers from. This is regarding the Qs.
Got it. Well, here's what I've got on the NQ here. So you had support, broke. Now you're having it act as resistance. You're at the 18,727 area. We'll see how that plays out. Let me go ahead. I'm going to decrease the size of my charts here just a little bit. See. Oh, well. Look at that. Look at that. Wait, which? Oh, you guys weren't even. I have two trading view charts up. You guys were looking at the wrong one. My apologies. I've got the right one up now. All right, here's what I was trying to tell y'all. We talked about this 106 level. And we said how in the pre-market it acted as resistance. If you look left, it was support, so that was perfect. And look at that. Even when the market ripped off here at 9:30 to the upside, it went and came right back down. And now you're down about $3 or so from that level. So that's a nice little play that we had out there. Let's see what else. Ooh, this is not good for me to see. I do not like looking at this. Robinhood down in the $19 range. Not fun. Broke the $20 level. It should have taken my profits when I had the chance.
Oh, gosh. That looks like it's trying to build a head and shoulders pattern.
It is not looking good, my friend. But you know what? It is okay. It's not like all of our money is in there. CrowdStrike. You want to talk about a stock that just continues going down. 250 level. This is what we traded live. Actually, no, this is what we wanted to trade live with you, but we didn't quite get the test of 250, so I didn't get the trade. But man, it is just continuing to go down. And matter of fact, I think we had talked about, we talked about this filling the gap. And we said, look, if it breaks this area of 238, it's going to fill the gap that we have here at 214s. It has now filled the gap and then some. Now, where do we go? That's the question. Would not be surprised if we go to 200-ish for me. What's up?
Yeah, I think we'll go to 240. This is a bounce spot here. Here's something you could do, because this is what I did, and I thought it was interesting. If you draw a trend line from January 9th, the low there, up through the low of May 1st and August 28th, this is all of 2023, and you keep drawing that trend line, the price has actually come down to where that trend line is now. So I would think that there's going to be a short-term bounce there at the very least.
Let's see if we kind of get that play. I'm just taking a look at any other tickers that we want to focus on here. Tesla. Nothing really there. Let me go to remove these drawings. Ooh, okay, so look, you have, so this is an area that we know is now confirmed as support for me. You had a bounce here, 1, 2, 3 bounces. So now if you want to go short, to me, the break of 210 is where you want to be at. If you get that move to the downside, that's where you want to be if you want to go short. Till then, I think you're kind of in no man's land. For me, if you want to go short, I would wait for the break of 210 on ticker TSLA. Let's see what's going on with the VSEE. Ooh, hello and yikes.
VC it go down.
Well, we did get the bounce near 5. We had talked about that, but unfortunately I had mentioned 50 cents for a stop loss and 50 cents for a target. It did not meet 50 cents. It got to 30 cents of profits. And now we are headed to the downside. I think if you want to go short here, you got to wait for a $5 test. $5 test, stop loss maybe above this. So you're risking about 40, 50 cents is where I would go ahead and play this. So, you know, and this is another reason where we mentioned, look, 614 for at least for me, it wasn't the way to go. It was $5, but even that didn't quite work out. And now to the downside we go. I got to find some plays here. Amazon holding on. Tested the support by about, it was off by about $1 on Amazon, but we should be good.
Yeah, just waiting for DRMA to try to break that 345 that we keep talking about. It's keeps trying, but it hasn't been able to successfully break and hold above that 345 level. Might go here though.
Let me actually put on a little bit of... I always need some tunes, man. That's what I need. Dangerous Night Streets. I don't know what that means, but...
Marcus never mentioning OSX or OSTX. Take a look at that. Oh, this must be a new company here. This way they just IPO yesterday or something?
Looks like it.
Yeah. IPO yesterday.
And I mean, just already kind of having wild moves. You have, this does get interesting because this one is acting as support and then as resistance. So if we stay above this level of 422, I think we can possibly knock on the doors of 5 and 6. But at the moment, I assume this is spready. Yep, look at that. So 460 to 470, 10 cents on this one already. A bit spready, not to my liking. Let's see if I'm actually going to...
It looks like it's trying to shoot for that 650 level that it went up to this morning.
Why don't we try it out? Why don't we try it out? I'll grab 200 shares. Why not? All right, I am in with 200 shares. Let me wait for the confirmation. I just want to make sure I got it. Where is my...
Oh, thank you very much, Boeing. All right, looks like DRMA trying to push.
I just deposited 30,000 into this broker, and it says your account is currently in liquidate mode only. That's always scary. So I need to call them before I place a trade. But anyway, what I was trying to say was this is kind of where I would take the trade. And my stop loss would be below this bar. So 350 would be my stop loss on this one. Damn, I can't believe I can't get in. This is crazy. But let me at least do this. We'll pretend that I was able to get in just because I would like to, but the broker won't let me. So I don't want to pretend like I'm in, right? We don't lie to y'all here. But here's where the one-to-one trade would be. We'll see how it would have played out if I was able to get in on OSTX. We'll come back to this one. I'm going to go ahead and set some alerts either to the downside or upside so we can come back and revisit this during the stream if it does get to those levels. Paper. Yeah, look, I'm not a paper trader, but what do you want me to do? The broker won't let me get in.
There goes DRMA. This is what we were looking for. That's the move we were looking for. Now, I'm out of this now because I just wanted to play that breakout. I don't know how high this goes. I got what I wanted. Nice little 30-cent trade. Didn't take long. Good to go. What's Wint doing? went, didn't it? Let's take a look here. Went, still trying to push back into the 11s. It has a high of 1110. If this can get above that, there's a high from yesterday at 1230 that it ran up to in the when it opened. 1255 is the level I have marked off as an upside target. So we'll see if it gets there. But you know, I'd be looking at those highs from yesterday as potential targets first. So 1230.
All right, you've got that kind of moving up. Let's take a look here on the ES side.
Looks like OSTX is still trying to push into the 5 area. It's got some consolidation, some supply to push through, but once it does, it's probably might move a little more quickly into 6. That's what I'd be expecting, but we've got to see it get through that supply first.
AMD. Oh, I can't. Here, let me see if I can get into my other broker and place a trade here, because this is not something I'm a fan of. Fuck. AMD.
Looks like this has been something that we've been trading, the past couple of weeks. MIRA also looks like that is trying to set up to go higher. Upper shadows don't look great. It's trying to recapture VWAP at the moment, but once it does, that might get going. The current intraday high is 279. Needs more volume, really does. But if it starts to expand, then I'd be looking at a 279 break in MIRA.
All right, here's Nvidia, by the way. We talked about the rejection level of 106, 107. And now do we go ahead and break the pre-market lows? We kind of did a little bit, but, it's not a hard break. It's just a little peak below.
Do I think DRMA could hit 4? Let's see here.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why not either. I mean, the thing is that as long as this volume expansion, like it's doing, holds up and continues to, expand, that's going to give the price the ability to chew through some of these sell orders that we're seeing up here between, the price now and $4. Once we get past, let's say, the 387 to 390, we might see a bigger move up towards 4. That's what I'd be looking at. But just be careful with this one. This is already, it's already behaved the way we want it to so far. That was a great pattern breakout there above the 345. Like Ryan and I tell you guys a lot. Don't be afraid to pay yourselves on the way up, especially with these volatile names.
You're about 30 cents away from what you were talking about, the $4 target. What was it? OSTX? Oh,
OSTX. Well, that's turning around now. I couldn't get through that supply.
It is. But the way that I see it, I wouldn't be too pissed, because to me, you're kind of retesting this level.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the way that I would have done it, right? See, if I wanted 200 shares, I would have purchased 100 here, purchase another 100 right here with a stop loss below. So my stop loss is about $1, so I'm risking 200 to make 200. That's the way that I would have traded this if my broker allowed me to. Just being very clear at the moment.
Wow, I didn't realize the SPY had just absolutely blown through the 530 level. That's blew through 533. That's where I thought we were going to get some good support. That didn't happen. Now we're testing 530, which is another level I have. Beneath that, 527 would be the next stop I think the price would have.
We mentioned how the 538 was going to be, a level to keep an eye on. You had support. Now you've got the resistance point.
There's that now. Senators are starting to come after Powell about not cutting rates. So,
oh really?
Well, Senator Warren posted on X that he saying that he made a mistake not cutting rates. So, yes, I've been saying for some time now that the Fed is late to the rate cuts. A lot of us thought that well, I don't want to say a lot of us. Some of us thought that rate cuts were coming on Wednesday, and we didn't get that. So I think that's part of what we're seeing here with the sell-off is that expectation fizzling. Burn. Wow. SQQQ was a great pickup. Now let's see here. We have Boeing going even lower.
All right, AMD, you went ahead and cracked the 133.53 area. Now you've got the previous close acting as support intraday. We'll see what it wants to do on that side of things. Don't be surprised if it does reject and come back down to the 130s. You've got about 13 minutes before this candle closes. OXTX. All right, not too bad, not too shabby. We hanging out there. We good. I don't like the wick, obviously, on the 5-minute. Neither on the 15. But if I was in this trade, I would still be in this trade. I would leave it alone. I would not mess with anything.
I still think 160 is possible with Boeing. Not saying it's going to happen today, but it probably will happen next week. I think 160 is still possible. I also want to take a look at Disney here. We were talking about how this was going to be a great short once it bounced off of the 20-day SMA, because we were going to get that gap fill like you were talking about. We got that. And then we, the very next day, we traded up a little bit and tested the 20-day SMA, got rejected there, and now we are headed down. It's looking like we're going to try 90.50 pretty soon. I think we could even end up going lower than that. Just a lot of really bad things happening with Disney on the management side there as well, I guess. Ever since that whole fiasco with the board takeover happened and Bob Iger's side won, you can actually look and see the date that happened and what happened in the market. Disney turned around.
Let's take a look at Coinbase. You've got something's. All right, so Coinbase is holding on to this level of 207.98. It was down there, reported again, still holding on to it. So if you were looking to go short, that's there to kind of keep in mind.
Time to sell some more of these puts. I mean, I know we're seeing red, but this has been a really good day. I don't know who else was expecting downside. I know we talk about it a lot because this market was just really extended. But if you were expecting this, you positioned yourself correctly, you're doing really good.
Have you been able to take advantage of any of the plays?
Which ones?
Have you placed a trade? Because I haven't been able to place anything.
I have one in Akanda. I have one in RMA, and I've been selling these Disney and Boeing puts that I picked up earlier this week.
Oh, okay, very cool. Oh my goodness, Robinhood in the $18 range.
What's going down in the hood?
Myself? That's funny. Why do I do this to myself?
Let's see here. What is happening with this company? There's something else going on here. I didn't see news. Is this going down because of what's crypto doing? That's probably what we're needing to look at is Bitcoin. Well, doesn't look like it's faring too bad. Must be something else. I guess folks just not interested in the card offers that they have anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Hood, why it's going down so much. Any thoughts, Z, on why this is doing?
No, I'm too scared to look that something dumb happened. I'm just hoping that their quarterly blows it out of the park. But even if it does, like, I'm in the red right now, right? I'm down, I think, about at least 25% from my calls, even though I was up like 50%. I didn't sell, greed, whatever. Call it what you want. It is what it is.
Well, for me, at least, there should be a RSI bounce coming at some point. We're not really too oversold yet, but getting close. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you were taking a breath to respond, but
nope.
it looks like this could end up going down to maybe 16, somewhere between 15 and 16. They might find a bottom. That's what I would be looking at right now. Man, what I really would want to know what's going on with this. That is a bad move on what seems to be.
It's down 10% for what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's down on big on what seems to be very little news.
What in the world? Chad, help me out here. What is happening with Hood?
Kind of makes me wonder what these other brokers are doing too. Let's look at IB. What's Interactive Brokers? The ticker, I can't remember. It's like let's see here. IBKR. There we go. What's this one doing?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, the only thing I see, sorry if you mentioned this. The only thing that I see is that 300 shares of Robinhood were sold by Kathy Woods yesterday.
Oh. So she'll do it. But, IBK also down pretty handily as well, down to over 5%. So there's another brokerage that's down. What's Schwab giving us? Why can't I remember these tickers? Folks, help me out here. What's the Charles Schwab ticker?
Is it SCHW or WH?
You're right, SCHW. That one not down as much. So I thought there might have been something going on with brokerages. It doesn't look like a great chart though. It looks like Schwab is going to end up going lower, break down beneath 61 at some point. It's just the way the chart formation looks like right now, like this rolling over that we've been getting this past week or two.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to have another date with 61 and where it's going to break down. Well, that's what I see here with those brokerages. I don't know. I still don't know why Hood is tanking like it is, but like I said, with that level, 15 to 16, that's where I'd be looking for support. All right, let's go back to other stuff. What's DRMA doing? That exit was pretty good because now it's back down to VWAP. And this is the thing that I've been concerned about all morning is that a lot of these movers, like the two that I was mentioning, VSee and AKAN, weren't going to do all the fun stuff that we've had happen with these other movers before, where they just make our whole morning.
Yeah, you had till 380s or so, and then $4 is what someone was talking about. So we missed that by about 20 cents.
Yeah. So if you get that pop, that movement, it's like take profits or face the repercussions. Looks like FAZ that was mentioned earlier. That's still moving up, almost at 10 now. SQQQ got as high as 10.16, doing a little bit of pullback. I think it'll continue to move up more following this brief pullback here.
Man.
VIX almost 26. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just talking about how you have Nvidia that's down about 5%, bouncing from the 101.38s. Hood we already kind of talked about to a great extent. You also have Amazon that's just kind of holding on. Yes, look, it's down 11%, 12%. What I say holding on is just to the level of 160. So it hasn't gotten new lows quite yet.
Z, I have not seen a lot of comments come in on chat. Is there something going on here?
Someone help 13 feel better.
No. I mean, I haven't seen anything come across in the past 8 minutes. Are you seeing more chat feed come in? Because I'm not.
I am not. Someone type something so 13 feels better.
Well, I mean, if there's nobody watching us, then it feels like we're talking to ourselves.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, okay, there we go. Now I'm starting to see.
Oh, wait, you know what? That was so weird. Okay, so chat. Yeah, we didn't see any comments for the past 8 minutes, and now we just saw all of them upload from the past 8 minutes. So we were missed a whole bunch because we never saw them.
Okay, so I'm not tripping then.
No, you weren't tripping. It was their software. Okay, so anyway, if you set something, we apologize. We didn't mean to ignore you. We just didn't see it. So, sorry.
Yeah, it was CrowdStrike again.
It was crouch. Yo, could you imagine?
It was CrowdStrike. They're messing with our feed.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to the action. So yeah, apologies if you were saying something we did not mean to ignore you. Please go ahead and say it again. Apologies. Oh, by the way, we do have option Sandy coming up at 11. So we're gonna have all access at 10:50, and then you have Sandra coming up at 11 o'clock.
Oh man, I think Disney loses 90 at some point real soon here. Maybe even today. Sue them. We'll have to get in line, Rusticale. I'm sure that they're going to get sued by a lot. I think Delta's first in line. Who knows? Maybe even Microsoft is going to be right up there with them. You're from Zillow Interactive Brokers allowing people to get around the pattern day trading. No, I'm not. I don't use interactive brokers, and I wasn't aware of that. But that's good information to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with IBKR.
Well, it's was a great Boeing put trade. Well, looks like the market's just trying to take a breather and figure out what it wants to do next. Getting a bit of recovery in SPY. Don't know how. Oh well, interestingly, there was a bit of support from 533 in the pre-market. I think that if the price in SPY trades back up, that 533 is going to be the strongest resistance
on
SPY. I think that's going to be the strongest resistance. If we're expecting this to continue to go down, that's where I think it's going to get rejected. 533.
Let's see.
C dot. That's what I'm going to call you. C dot. Don't forget, Hood received the Wells. That
was in April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this could, I think that could be the other shoe to drop that he's talking about. So that's that. You know.
Yeah,
that's
but you think I don't know. I don't know the timing of when the how those things work. But like, that's in April. You still think that's a worry?
Well, I mean, there's things in a lot of companies that happen, earlier this year that they're still paying for. Boeing's one of them.
Yeah, but I guess for me, it's like, what is today? Where it's like, oh yeah, today's the day we're going to punish you 10%.
All the market's coming down. This is a great day. It's like kind of hiding among the weeds. Like this.
So you're like, hey, the market's hot, so we'll stay in. But the minute the market turns, we're dumping our stocks that we feel. No, I'm serious.
That, yeah. No. That's what I'm laughing about it, because it's like it's a pretty sound strategy bit there. But
that makes sense.
But so that's a good point there, C-Dot. I appreciate it. Delta and United Airlines canceled flights to Tel Aviv. Well, it's getting it's heating up there, and we're getting some major regional tensions. I don't think anybody wants to be on the line for putting lives at risk, or seeing an aircraft explode as it's coming in for a landing. So that's going to mean some downturn for those companies too, since there's fewer flights. Well, Delta's already going to have a downturn because they don't have no flights. I don't even know if they got back up yet. Do you know if they resumed operations after that CrowdStrike fiasco, or are they still having trouble? Last I heard, they were still having trouble, so I'm not sure. Let's see if we can get some other. Don't see any other news coming out yet. FAZ still trying to push higher, trying to make a new high at the moment. All right, DRMA, that's now beneath VWAP, going lower. VSee trying to recover. Not confident in this one. Maybe this one comes back later on today, like some of these, typically do. But that's going to be later. AKAN, that had a nice move not that long ago. As long as it can push through this pre-market consolidation, this could probably get up to maybe 225.
Let me see.
Thank you, Lynn. Dial back to normal, the Delta. Voodoo asking, Joe, give me a read on Zim targets for entry. Let's take a look. Bear with me 1 second. I'll bring up Zim on both my charts because I have drawings on different. Why is this not coming up here? Oh, chart. There we go. All right. So if we continue to go down with Zim, I'm still looking for support from the 20-day SMA, which I have at 1827. There's also a line that I have drawn here at 1736. That's going to be also close to where the 500-day SMA is. To me, it looks like that 1736 level is probably going to have to hold, maybe 17 even. I think this may end up trading down some more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it. I'll put it to you this way: if this cannot hold the 20-day SMA, I think this is definitely going lower. I would say maybe as low as 15 or 1550. For me, I'd wait to see what it does with the 20-day SMA. It also is trading beneath the 50-day SMA after getting rejected there.
Yeah.
So if it can hold the 20-day SMA and start trading back up and looking like it's going to recapture that 50, that might be a better time to get into it for the next upside move. But for me, it looks like this is actually going to be going lower. So that's what I'd be watching for, Voodoo, is just to see if it can hold those that EMA, try to recapture 50. Otherwise, 17 lower, down to 50, as low as 15 maybe. I hope that's helpful. Amazon short pressing, trimming Amazon short. Hey, take those gains, dude. Love it that we can look at this downside and be like, hey, there's opportunities to make money, and you go out and make money. Makes me a happy man. Actually, with Amazon, they filled that gap. Remember the well, hold on, not quite, pretty close.
I think it was about $1 away.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a little bit more than that. You're right. So 159.76 is where it has to go to fill that gap, and we got to 160.55. So just under $1 away from that before the gap is filled. That's still entirely possible. We'll see if we get a reversal after that gap completely fills. Ultimately, this looks like it's going to end up going lower. I mean, I don't think Bezos has sold since he was selling at 200, but his selling has been leading the way for us to the downside. Did Zuckerberg sell any recently? Who was the... Let me see here. There was somebody... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Zuckerberg. Did he sell any yesterday? That's what I want to see. He did.
Just
I knew he
yesterday?
would. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's not Zuckerberg. That's Jennifer Newstead, the CLO. But I knew that. I thought he was going to sell when it got over 400 or 500 again, because that's all he's been doing. Every time, all through June and July, every time that the price got over 500, you could see Zuckerberg just selling millions of shares.
Well, it's coming to the downside now. I haven't been able to place any trades today, and it's annoying because it's a Friday, and that's when I like to go a little bit degenerate.
Oh yeah, look at that Rocket doing good. Now this Rocket could be a real interesting play going forward, especially if home buying is on the return. And it seems like there are some price pressures for sellers coming, so they may be forced to lower prices. We're also getting the possibility of rate cuts, and rates have been coming down a bit. That's going to help mortgage rates. That's going to help buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for a better opportunity. So there could be a series of home buyers coming in to snatch up some homes, and more homes might be coming on the market soon as a result of lower rates. So Rocket could be good in that space going forward.
Let's see where we go. AMD bouncing. This is another one where you had the previous closed action support get right back up. So, we'll see how this one reacts. Making lower highs on the day, on the 30.
Ooh. What just happened with Diz? I just saw. Okay, so we lost. Oh, we're close to losing 90 in Disney.
Let's go to Disney here.
Yeah, that low that we had from last month was 89.21. We're getting close to losing 90 here. We might make, might see this low from November. We might even fill this gap from November of 23. We continue to go down and break that low from July. We shall see.
And kind of, yeah.
Because I don't think that that whole story with the strike is over. They came to a tentative agreement, but now they've started laying off. And this is not the same.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Section of their business, but they've been laying off folks in their TV segment, and they just had that strike deal, that tentative strike deal with workers at their parks. So a little bit different, but at the same time, still the same company. They are going through some issues with management, with content, and now with labor.
All right, you've got coin.
Oh,
going to the downside. Yep, that's my little fire alarm. You've got Coinbase. It's starting to break support, not completely there.
Did you just call it a fire alarm, like a smoke alarm? You know how like when people don't change their batteries?
Yeah, I did.
It makes that sound.
I did mean smoke alarm, fire alarm. I don't know what I call it all the time. What do I call it, chat? I don't remember. But nonetheless, it's moving down.
I think it's a funny name because there are people that when you're talking like on a stream or on Discord or something, and you hear this little like beep in the background, they haven't changed their battery. It's like, hey, change your smoke detector battery.
So the chat unfortunately had to deal with that for like 2 weeks. They were irritated because I didn't change mine, and it was also because one, I didn't know which smoke detector needed changing, and two, I was lazy. I was traveling. I didn't care. And then they were like, bro, if you don't change your batteries, I swear to God.
That's funny.
But yeah, I'm now paying attention to Coinbase as it's making new lows for the day.
Well,
Ryan's having a good time with the Bears winning.
Yeah. Well, hey, the Bears are winning today too.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Cute, 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 cute.
The detectors, yeah. This chat's funny. All right, well.
Like, see, for example, on the ES, I would love to take a trade here at 53.75. But I needed to come back and test it, man. Getting
a mention about Red Hill Biopharma from Ken Basil. Hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Let's see here with this one. Oh, it's penny stock trying to get up to what, 75 cents right now? That's the move we're looking for. Yeah, 75 is about where there's a lot of supply. Might have a tough time getting through that on low volume.
Let's see.
So this is probably moving on relative volume because yesterday it had some pretty good volume. So I think that the movement today is based off of that relative volume.
You had the NQ, so we talked about having a retest back. You had NQ that broke yesterday's support, or excuse me, the support from this morning at 8:30. Broke it, tested it, rejecting now. We'll see what it does at these levels.
Excellent. That's great, Voodoo. All right, well. Looks like the market might be trying to take the next move lower here. We're breaking down beneath 530 again. Pull the daily chart. Yeah, I have no pending trades right now. Just the stuff I mentioned I was in earlier. Almost done with my Disney puts and SQQ. Still have that.
Let's see on that.
520. Sorry.
Yeah.
527 is next downside target for me on SPY if it can't hold 530.
Now, see if the SPY comes back to test, and it has to do it quick. This 533.11 level, I would be interested in going short with a stop loss at about $2 above. And the reason I mentioned that is because you have the pre-market lows that was holding on to support. We obviously broke it, and I wanted to come back and test it. And on top of that, you have VWAP around the 533. So that's what I would want to go ahead and see.
Interesting about that level, 533.07 was a previous all-time high. We put in that all-time high on May 23rd. So that's where I get that level from. But we tested that today as support. So these previous all-time high levels, they're giving you those bounce areas as we move down.
Let me see where...
Let's see, what's the VIX at now? Took it off my screen because it was ripping. Still not quite to 26 yet.
Let's see, move this, move that.
Well, how many of you folks out there are going to be done trading after this? Because
right, me, this is just...
It's been a pretty good day, but I don't know what we're going to see for the rest of the day. If we're going to continue to leak, or if we're going to recover.
So here's OSTX. That so again, reminder for the folks that might have been joining late or what the case is. I wanted to take this trade. I couldn't take this trade because my broker said, hey, like I deposited some funds in a new broker, and they're like, hey, buddy, you're in liquidation mode. How you going to liquidate me when I just deposited 30,000 and I haven't taken a position? Different story. But so we put on this little trade thesis, I guess. And so far, it looks like I would have been stopped out. So if it does break this 343, we would go ahead and get stopped out. So at the moment we haven't, but just, transparency.
And yeah, Joe had some great calls on his UVIX and SQQQ options. So if you were short the market like he was, and like we've been saying that we need to see this corrective move, doing well. It's a great call. Looks like it's back, SPY back above 530 right now, trying to recapture that. But yeah, this is just kind of going to be a yeah, and that's the other thing. That's a good point. Just shows, being in cash at the end of the day. That's that's going to be great, because if you just have cash sitting in your accounts, you're earning a pretty good percentage on the fixed income. It's if you don't even trade at all, you're still earning money in cash. That's not a bad position to be in, especially if you're uncertain about how if you're going to even get the trade you want out of these markets. Some things have not been working out.
I'm trying.
Who could ask for anything more?
All right, we're going to go ahead and kind of keep things moving along here. Any final thoughts from you, 13, before we get to All Access? And we've got Sandra coming up after that as well.
Well, you folks have a wonderful rest of the weekend and the rest of the day. If you don't feel compelled to trade anything, I can't blame you. I would want to be on the safer side just to see where this whole play shakes out. If you feel compelled to trade, take care of yourself, be safe. Don't forget the stops. Don't forget to take profit on the way up and all that good stuff. I'll see you next week.
Any plans for the weekend before you go? Fun plans for the weekend, or are you just kind of kicking it, relaxing?
I have some things I need to do around this house. So relaxing is when I can, and houseworking when I'm not.
All right, my man. Well, have fun, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody.
See ya. All right, y'all. We've got a couple of things coming up here. First, we love to give you some trading ideas, but you also know that we love to talk to executives from publicly traded companies. So we get you some insights on what's going on with their company, what's going on within their sector, and what things could look like in the pipe for the future as well. And that's why I'm excited to have this conversation with Francis McDonald, who is the CEO. Ticker on the NASDAQ, ticker on the OTCQX is LIFFF. All Access starts right now. Francis, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? Everything all right?
Yep, everything's going.
All right. Well, hey, I have to ask, you've got so many books behind you. How many of them have you read? Before we talk about the company and get into it, how many of them have you read?
I've read 0 because I'm at my in-laws' place. So my father-in-law is a history teacher. And so that's why I'm in a library.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate your honesty, because I would have been like, I read them all the time. Are you kidding me? It's my favorite thing to do. But look, it's great to have you here for the show. For the folks that might not be familiar with your company, give us a quick idea of what is it that you do.
Sure. So LIFFF is a mineral exploration company. And so we are out looking for new lithium deposits. And our flagship asset is our Yellowknife project. We are defining a very large lithium resource in the northern part of Canada, and this will be one of the probably top 7 in North America.
Now, lithium is something that's been kind of the hot topic, especially when it comes to EVs and different things that lithium is used for, I'm sure, but there's just majority of what folks know it, I believe. It's been experiencing a boom recently. What are your thoughts and predictions in terms of what the market is kind of reacting to it? Do you feel like, hey, there are a lot of challenges ahead that the market's not seeing? Do you feel like there's a lot of tailwind ahead that they're not recognizing? What are your thoughts on how the industry is perceiving the lithium aspect of it?
Sure. So the lithium price went up astronomically in the last 18 months, and it's also come down quite a bit as well. And so now we're kicking around a bottom in lithium prices, and we've seen this quite a few times in the last decade. Lithium's been one of the best performing commodities for 4 out of the last 10 years, and one of the worst performing commodities for 4 out of the last 10 years. And so what that tells you is that there's extreme volatility in the underlying commodity. Yeah. And when you have that kind of volatility in the commodity, in the equities, it's even more levered to that volatility. So we're bouncing around a bottom right now. And so it's a great time to get in, because if you believe in the long-term narrative of energy transition, lithium is essential for this, and we're going to need a lot more of it into the future.
When you mention long-term, because that's kind of like, open interpretation on how long something is, right? So when you say long-term, are we thinking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What's your idea of long-term in the context that you just mentioned?
Yeah, sure. So I think long-term to me is decades. And there's always in the commodity space, there's always big scale trends. And an example of this would be the build out of Chinese infrastructure in the 2000s. And so that really drove steel production and iron ore as a commodity. And so people that played in that long-term narrative in the beginning made buckets of money. And this minted numerous billionaires in Australia because that's where a lot of the iron ore came from. And so I think for the next decades, that energy transition is that narrative. And so, you know, getting in now and sticking with it, I think is going to pay off in the long run.
See, I'm glad you said that, because to me, I was like, oh, 3 years, 5 years. Of course, you know, it depends on the context you're looking at things as well, whether it's, you know, in terms of investing something in, say, AI space, that long term could be 6 months to a year, because you never know what technology is going to look like in that aspect of it of things. As you know, beyond the objectives of, say, you're expanding the lithium operations in North America, but you have something happening in Canada as well?
Yeah, so our projects are in Canada. And so that's really where we're focusing. Is we've got 3 projects across Canada. Our Yellowknife project is the flagship asset. It's the most advanced. We've put about $40 million in the ground in the last year, and that's really to prove up how much lithium that we have. And that's all leading into an initial resource estimate that's coming out next month in September. So that's where we're going to unveil how much lithium we've found in the last year.
Are you concerned about any regulations that might come into play, especially when it comes to any impact with the regulations on your operations itself?
No, I mean, the permitting process in Canada is pretty straightforward. It's legislated. You have to go out and show a number of things that, you know, you look at water quality before you started mining, after you start mining. And so it's really just the timing of all of that. And the government of Canada has been working to decrease those timelines because there's a bit of overlap in the permitting process. So I'm not really concerned about it, but I'm hopeful that we are going to expedite permitting in Canada going forward.
Now, when it comes to, you know, we talked about some of the challenges that have, you know, in the lithium aspect and the space of there as well. What are some things that are happening in the company that folks can kind of look forward to in terms of, I know we talked about long-term as decades, but anything that's in the pipe that you're working with, any partnerships or anything like that that our viewers should know about for, say, the next 6 months to 2 years? Sure.
And just to go back to the long term, that mega trend, I would say, is decades, but the cycles in the lithium sector are you know, between 6 months and 2 years. And so I think we're going into another bull run in lithium probably in the next 6 months. And so that's something that people can look forward to. If the underlying commodity moves, then the equities are really going to move. And as a company, we have some big milestones coming up. So like I said, the resource estimate, that's coming up. That's how much lithium we have in the ground. We're putting out the processing results, so how much lithium we can actually recover. And then we're going into an economic study, and that's really where we show how much it's going to cost to get out of the ground and how much profit we're going to make off of a lithium mine. And so that's all coming up in the next 6 months.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's kind of like the big picture of what the company's goals are. And then there's different milestones to get to that, right? So you mentioned the mega trend, right? So kind of like how folks at home that are watching, you kind of zoom out on a daily or a weekly or a monthly of a chart, but then you also have trends that are happening and momentums and milestones you're hoping to achieve in the next 6 months or so. Do you have a lot of competitors in this space? And if so, what kind of makes you different, kind of gives you the edge over them?
Yeah, sure. So there's been quite a few companies that have entered the lithium space in the last couple of years because of the astronomical price increases. And now, because the price is come down a bit, a lot of companies have gone away as well. And so this is kind of where, you know, the tide goes out and you see who's wearing clothes or not. And we're one of those companies that have a pretty real asset. And in Canada, there's a handful of them, I would say. And we're definitely one of them.
Any other aspects of what's happening in the business that you feel like the market isn't comprehending? Because sometimes I feel like the market misunderstands what is happening with the company, whether it's on the strategy side, whether it's on the execution side. Do you feel like the market isn't getting the message or anything that you're trying to send?
I think right now there's some negative sentiment in the media about EVs. And that's because companies like Ford have said, oh, we're going to scale back our EV production. And I think that's really what the market's missing, is that the EVs, what's driving it is China. And sales are going up month on month in China. This is going to be the biggest year ever for EV sales. And so there is negative sentiment out there, but in reality, the numbers aren't really very negative. They're actually quite positive. And I think the sentiment is negative because prices have come down so much, but people are still making money at these levels. And when we do see a price increase, it's really going to drive things again.
And it's kind of one of those things where when a company is doing really well, everyone wants in. They want to, they have FOMO. When I say company, I'm talking about the just charts, if you will, not exactly the fundamentals. But then when then they wait for a good opportunity to get in. Then if it starts to sell off, they're like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I want to participate in this, but those are the opportunities where you have a good chance to get in at a lower price, especially if the fundamentals are looking good. Kind of like how you mentioned where the sentiment, the short-term sentiment, was what Ford said, might be a bit negative, but you're looking at the big picture in terms of the China numbers with the sales there. And of course, if you believe in the future of EV, this is definitely a space that you want to be involved in. What are your thoughts on how long it'll take just in general for the EV space to kind of continue growing to the point where we have charging stations like we do gas stations? Obviously, it's such a huge undertaking, right, to kind of have it at every single block, if you will. But when do you think we can start seeing it more and more? Because I think the biggest challenge, I'll give you an example, is I went to a wedding 2 years ago. A friend of mine had a Tesla, but she had to stop at a charging station for 30 minutes. The drive with 30 minutes. So it doubled the trip itself, right? So when do you think we can start seeing charging stations in the EV space to make it more and more normal for us to be able to utilize them for long trips?
The technology is changing rapidly. And so CATL, this is the biggest battery producer in China. They've just announced that they're coming out with a battery that has 1,000 kilometers of range, and you can do 600 kilometers of charge in 10 minutes. So, that was what happened with Tesla's, call it 2 years ago or something. But in the next 2 years, the technology is going to be completely different. And so I think that's really what's going to drive it. I mean, I know a lot of people myself that say, oh, we'll just wait till the charging gets better and the range is better and these kind of things. But this is literally happening right now. And I think that's really going to drive the next leg up in EVs and EV adoption.
Awesome. Well, we talked about quite a few things in terms of the short-term trend, long-term trend, and also within your company as well. Were there any other topics or conversations that you wanted to have that I didn't get a chance to bring up here today?
No, I think that's a pretty good, quick overview.
Awesome. Hey, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. That is Francis McDonald, who is the CEO of LIFFF Power. Francis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And chat, we appreciate you for hanging out for All Access. Now, as always, this is a sector, this is a space that I think is one that you definitely want to be involved in, because as the long-term trend that we talked about here, you do have EV space. That's just in the car side. You also have different, ways that lithium is used, and you also have different capabilities that you can have it utilized in as well. So as always, do your own due diligence, but this is definitely a sector that I think I would be paying attention to. I am invested in it as well, but definitely something to kind of keep in mind. We appreciate you for sticking around. We're going to go ahead and continue the show now with Sandra. We've talked about trading different aspects of things, and now we're going to try to see how we can get more involved in the options side of things as well. Sandra, give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready. Awesome. Let's go ahead and bring you on. Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
I am doing well. Any fun trades that you've had so far this week?
Yes, absolutely. Took advantage of that little flash crash this morning. Got into some Tesla puts for 80% profit. And we also did an overnight swing on a put for SPY that ended up being we actually did a debit spread. Some people took a debit spread. Some people took a put. Ended up getting about 80% off the debit spread and 10 times plus on the regular straight put on. So that was kind of a fun trade for us. And then today, this morning, just watching VIX rise above 21, boy, how could you not jump on? And so we had a big kind of a discussion about, a lot of people, when we see this happening, we just want to stare at it because it's like a crash. And we can't take our eyes off of it, but we're not doing anything either. And so one of the main components we talked about this morning as a trader is like at some point in your trading career, you're going to transition that psychological thought process to action. And so if you can see that and automatically, or as well, if you're in a community that's giving you commentary and you can react quick enough, you could take advantage of these types of situations and basically earn a month's trading salary literally in 1 to 2 days. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be the next step for a lot of traders out there.
All right. Well, I appreciate the insights on that. Let me go ahead and bring your charts up here in a moment. But of course, I know you'd kill me if I didn't play the intro. Here's options trading made simple with Sandy.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fit-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? So the first thing we're going to do is go over last week's trade. So here's CVX. We were in a debit spread, a call debit spread. And here is Friday's candle. And what we were looking at was that we were above the 20. And we were looking as if we were going to break above the point of control for the next following week and actually end up to the high here, the weekly expected move high, which was around the 162 level. And the next following day, boom, we went down 50% stop loss got hit. Now, the next following day, I took a look at it. You could have easily re-entered the position where we left off at, got right back in, and look where it ended up going. So when we, who coined the term diamond hands, right? If you had diamond hands, it could hold through that debit spread, depending on how many contracts you had on, how comfortable you felt. Look what happened the next following day. Not only did we get a bullish pump, but we actually did end up, let's see, that high there was 160, 169. So you would have been able to make your money back basically with some profit. However, we did not in this trade. Took the 50% stop loss and I was done, but it did end up going. And that's how those weekly expected moves, if you have an indicator that helps you to identify that, how that could really help you take a look at the chart and kind of see what's planned. Now, the weekly expected move high for CVS was a 160, 138. And look at the low down here, 154. Not only did we hit both, but now this is our range for next week. Not interested in CVX right now, but let's take a look at some of our major indices. And then please go ahead and send me some of your stock recommendations to take a look at, and we'll take a look. So on a daily chart of SPX, you could see that we were actually traveling quite well, and we were flirting because every support and resistance level that you have on your chart is basically called a fake out zone. And the reason is because as price is getting over, in this example, to support, it really is trying to identify, is this real support? Are we gonna, bounce up and go back up to resistance? And so as we were flirting with that, you could see we hit the weekly expected move high this week, 54.79. And everybody thought that we were going to break out and start heading higher to our daily resistance level. But instead, what did we do? It was a fake out. Boom, came right back down. And now we actually are below this channel, extremely bearish here. So we are doing a correction. Now, typically speaking, when we're in a bull market, we often have a correction between 5 and 20%. 20% is pretty heavy. But typically speaking, between 5 and 10%, that's pretty average if you look back in history. And so as we look at a 4-hour chart, you can see that we still have a lot of room to go here. Not only did we break below our weekly expected move, but we are lower. Now, 68% of the time, we actually tend to bounce back and close within that expected move. But look at how far away SPX is from that expected move. I mean, 53.77, you're talking about 70 additional points to try to get back in there. And if we close below this weekly expected move, then it's very bearish for the next following week. And you could see how the weekly expected move that the market makers created, look at where it's at right now. So the high, because we could take a bounce because nothing goes in a straight line. I wish it did, but it doesn't. If we do take a little bounce at support at some point, we may end up getting up to 54.36. That's next week's high. And then also a point of control for next week is going to be wherever we close today. So our point of control is where we close the previous week. And then from there, if we open up higher, we have an opportunity. The statistics for that opportunity of hitting that weekly expected high is greater. If we break below that point of control, then it looks like we're coming down to other support levels. And that's the way that you just follow price action on your chart. It doesn't have to be difficult. The other thing that I'm keeping an eye on is momentum. And the reason is because momentum drives price. So if momentum actually drives price, we can actually see what's happening with momentum on the chart. So as we get to the 200 level, and I'm just looking at this 200 level on this oscillator, you could see that this is typically an oversold category. Whether it's oversold on the bottom half or it's overbought on the top half, it actually acts as support and resistance as well. And so as we take a look at the chart, you can see that we're not even there yet on a daily. We still got a little bit of room to go. And that could be the last pivot high right here at 52.64. So around that zone, remember, it's never a specific straight line, but at that zone, this little area of the last pivot high, I love pivots, by the way. I think it's a great way to identify higher highs, higher lows, and etc. So as we look at 52.62, I'm looking to see next week, do we take a bounce? And if we do, we have a probability of coming up here to 54.38. We'll see where we close this week. Let's take a look now at the QQQs. We'll just run through the indices before we try to take a trade here. Now, oftentimes when you get, look at this downtrend, guys, on a daily for the Qs. Wow. Had a little bounce because nothing goes in a straight line. We went down, kind of went sideways, went down again, a little bit of sideways. And now we just completely broke down below that channel. And look where the weekly expected move high is, right where that channel, which was once support, is now resistance is. And we're kind of vacillating right on top of the daily last pivot high, which was 449.43 on the Qs. And so that's what we're looking at right now. And you can see how momentum is heading straight down. So looking to see what ends up happening. This is like a freight train. And when there's this much power going down, it's very different than when you have, as we say, price when we go up, it's like a staircase up. But when price goes down, it's like an elevator. So think about the momentum that occurs with an elevator versus walking up steps. So to turn it around takes a lot of effort. And so what does that turnaround mean? Well, visually, what it means when you take a look at a chart is that price typically has to like put the brakes on, and then it will go sideways for a period of time as it's trying to get its energy to turn the bus around, is what I usually call it. So just to kind of give you an analogy or to try to put it in a frame of reference that you can identify this with visually, but it really is like a bus that lost its brakes going downhill. And for it to gain its footing, it needs to come to a stop, turning the wheel. It's like it's a lot of effort. And so when we go down, it's a lot of effort to come back up. Now, typically with a flash crash, we had this little situation this morning where there was tons of huge orders. I don't know if you were looking at time and sales this morning. We do that in the mornings. And we identified like huge orders coming in from institutions for puts on SPX. And so we could immediately see, price just slamming down this morning and took advantage of it. But when we have this type of movement, it's going to take a while to see if we can get some momentum to get us back up above the zero line. And it needs to happen on all time frames. So it will take a while. I'm looking for a base is what a lot of people would call this, right? We need a base at some point. Where is support actually going to hold for the indices? Now, when we take a look at the indices, last week, IWM and DIA were having great weeks. Had a little pause in the QQQs and also in SPX. And because there's sector rotation typically in July and August. And that's standard. And so as we take a look at that, But when you see all the indices go down, there is no sector rotation right now. Everyone's, experiencing the correction altogether. And so when you can see that, then you can recognize that, oh, wait a minute. If you are not a put trader here, if you don't do options and you don't sell stock, then you may just want to hold the brakes until we actually get some basing, and then we can get some normalized price action. And then from there, we could start utilizing our support and resistance levels to get us there. And one of the best ways to do that is just look at your weekly expected move, because it gives you a frame of reference so you don't have all the biases that come into play. You're watching programs, you're watching shows, you're listening to the news, and there's a lot of narratives going out there. And so if you can just identify where your expected moves are, you can then keep your frame of reference focused on just this week's movement if you're a short-time options trader or stock trader. All right. So from DIA, let's take a look at IWM. IWM, wow, what a cliff fall off right here. So we're now below the previous high here on IWM on a daily. And so really it's got some room to come all the way down here to support, which is the last pivot low. And that's at 197.43. So what I'm saying is though we are oversold, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. This could go lower, believe it or not. We could base out a little bit and then go lower before we actually take a bounce. But as you can see, each one of these indices have their expected ranges to keep an eye on. And today's close will determine point of control for next week. I hope that that's an easy way for you to kind of identify price action. And you can do that, by the way, on a daily chart as well. Whatever the previous pre-market high and low is, by the way, if you're a day trader and you're looking to get some foundation on your day trades, all you have to do is look at your extended hours, your pre-market high and low. And that's basically your trading range for the day. If we break above that pre-market high, then you are trending bullish. And remember that the market only trends either bullish or bearish. And I mean trends like 15-20% of the time. So if you're not range trading and you actually break out above the pre-market high, then you're trending bullish. If you break below the pre-market low, you are trending bearish, and you should take the appropriate trades because we are trend traders. As soon as you break out of that pre-market high or low range, very hard to do the reversion to the mean trade for all you reversal traders out there. I know a reversal trade is often fun when you're looking at healthy price action. However, when you are trending, very difficult to make profit on a reversal. Keep that in mind and start watching the chart and see if this resonates with you. All right, let's go back to some comments and see if there are any trades or stocks that I could take a look at for you. Let's see here. Momentum indicator appears to show a divergence. Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is a 15-minute chart. Let me take a look and let's talk about divergences. So right here, if we look at a daily, right, we can see on a daily chart, there is no divergence on SPX. But let's take a look at some shorter time frames. Even here, I'm not really seeing a divergence. Not at all, not yet. And let's take a look at here. So here there's a divergence on a 15-minute chart. So on a 15-minute chart, what this is showing you is that momentum is actually moving up, isn't it? From the low here of momentum. And look where the low here on momentum is with price. It's actually higher. And then over here, it's lower. So we call this a divergence. And what that means is that eventually price is going to start to follow momentum because momentum drives price. So as we see this divergence, and by the way, any type of momentum indicator like an RSI can be used to identify divergences. Now, the only thing I don't like about divergences is that you don't know when it's going to happen. So even though you can see the divergence, there's no way to really identify when that could happen, whether it's going to be right now. So I should put a trade on, or if it's going to be an hour or maybe tomorrow. So because of that, it makes it a little difficult to identify. I like to see the divergences on a daily time frame because it's really more of a stable long-term time frame. So I typically don't use divergences too often for like day trading and stuff like that, because it's quite unpredictable. Because now that we looked at a 15-minute chart and you saw the divergences, look at how the 5-minute chart looks like, which is a perfect time frame to do day trading with. And as you can see on a, we're just going sideways here. Clearly, that's exactly what's happening. And so as now, whenever we broke below this gap here we have, and we're going sideways. So we could do one of two things. And the thing that I'm looking at on a day time frame is for us to break above that 20. To me, the 20 EMA is my reversion to the mean. Some people use a VWAP, some people use other things, but this to me is like really helpful. It's very clear in the years that I've been trading to identify that. And so as I look at that, I see, oh, the 20, which is the blue line. Sorry, I use this white line, this 6 EMA for trade automations. But when I take a look at this 20 EMA, I'm really looking on a 5-minute for price to get above that. And that could be for any stock, ETF, or indice. And as it does, it is really reminiscent of like somebody using the fibs and saying, oh, it's gotten over the 68 point whatever zone, the golden fib level. That means a trend change. And so for me, if we can get over and stay over the 20 and we have positive momentum breaking up above the 0 line, you should start to see a trend change, us staying above the 20. For me, anything below the 20 is bearish. Anything above it is bullish. However, you also have to follow the higher time frames, right? I mean, just because this breaks above the 20 doesn't mean I'm all in for calls. I mean, we are definitely bearish. The trend is bearish. So be careful on your reversals today. There might not be any. All right. Very great question. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And great identifier. The momentum indicator appears. Let's see. No other charts here. Let's see. Dow Jones Industrial Averages down overnight. Yeah. Oof. Hopefully you guys were able to take advantage of this movement and make some money. If you're not making money from these types of moves, then start working on that. That's a psychological thing where a lot of traders are just watching what's happening, but they're not really acting on it. They feel as if the move has already happened. Remember that you could always cut your losses short, and taking action is really important in the trading industry. Let's see. All right. So no other things. So let's take a look at the watch list and see if we can put a trade on. I'm really looking for something to base out here. If we don't have a base, then price can continue lower. And I think, let's see, as I look at a day chart, can we get a little bounce? You know what kind of would be fun is maybe putting on maybe either a debit spread for up here to be really inexpensive. That's why I'm thinking about this, because right now is really not a great time to be putting on new trades for next week because we haven't based out. And so this is not an A+ setup. You need to recognize that and act appropriately. However, if you want to do a lotto trade, I mean, come on, my portfolio, I always leave a little bit of room for day trades. That to me is fun. It's not the way that I make consistent income. Typically it swings and 0 DTE SPX strategies, as well as like, 7-day, 14-day, etc. type of SPX DTE strategies for premium selling is how I make consistent income. But day trading is fun. But as I look at this, I can do one of two things. I could put a butterfly on as an example at the 540 level, 542 level, and look for a bounce next week. So maybe we do something like that. So how would we do that? Well, let's take a look at a weekly chart, by the way. We've breaking down. I just want to just revert back really quick. Sorry for the quick change, but I want to revert back that looking at longer time periods will show you more information than being very narrow into a short time period. So as we're breaking very important support levels on a daily, let's take a look at a weekly. Now, on a weekly, this looks very different to me. And the reason is because look at how we're coming down and we're touching the 20. Now, remember, the 20 for me is my point of control. This is a reversion to the mean trade is what I'm saying. And so as we come down and we touch the 20, you can see where we've done this before. Here, we actually broke below it. We have a trend line up here. So which means that here we came up, we touched it, came back up and touched it. So we are right at the reversion. So a couple things could happen. We could see next week this starting to turn momentum, getting its energy, kind of like here. You see how this happened? So it may get its footing and start to turn around. And then we're still back in a bull trend, aren't we? So this is a correction within a bull trend. It doesn't mean that we're completely bearish yet. On a daily, we're looking at 529.33. So right now we're at 528. So we are below, which is a little bearish here, but it's not the end of the day yet. So really looking to see how we close today, and this being a weekly chart. And then look at how on a weekly we could go down to 515.06. So we still have some room. You can see down here how when it broke the 20, it came all the way down to the weekly expected lower end. So look at how on this one where it comes to the 20, which is the reversion to the mean, it comes to the 20 and stays above the point of control area. And so these types of identifiers can help you take a look at next week and go, I wonder if we just did a reversion to the mean. Because today everyone's looking at the chart and the sky is falling. But really, when you're looking at a longer term time frame, we're going, oh, this actually just looks like a reversion to the mean. It's not until we get with a closing weekly candle underneath this 20 that we then now are looking bearish. And we need momentum to be definitely inside, right? The negative category here below zero. But this could do like a little flip right here, just like it did last time. So that's what I'm looking for next week. Because we don't often, prices ebb and flow. And when we ebb and flow, it doesn't go in a straight line. And so because of that, if we take a little bounce, it doesn't technically mean that we're bullish again, but we'll have to see how price action stabilizes. So as we think about that, I'm looking at that for 540 range and thinking we could do a butterfly there. So now let's go over to the trade tab. Let me put that back on a day chart so I have my levels properly if you guys want to follow along or simulate. So let's see, 540. So this says 542. I'm going to do with a 540 butterfly. And so I'm going to go over here and what do you guys want to do? Let's see, 3 days out, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That'd be a big bounce. Let's do 4 days. Let's do 4 days. Got 13. You see the expected move here, $13. That looks about right. How about 540? Okay, let's see. Let's go over to the 540 range on the call side. Okay, we got some open interest there, as well as some volume. So other people looking at, imagine that, other people looking at the weekly expected move and got some heavy volume as well as open interest in the same area that I'm looking at. So that is the 540 area. And then what I can do is just use this drop-down menu, go over to a butterfly and take that 540 and now make it a little wider. You can see that this is only going to cost you $3 per contract, right? Because as we're doing options is just about leasing. You're just leasing 100 shares of stock or ETF for a period of time. So here we're leasing it for 4 days. So that 5 cents 5 times 100 is $5. So what we're doing is we're just looking at this and going, oh, $2 for a butterfly, that's pretty cheap. Let's make this about 5 wide and see what that comes up with. So if we do 45 on the high end and we do 35 on the lower end, okay, so now this ends up being $66. And this is that we take a little bounce up to the 540 range. It is a lot. Let's see, 30, but we got 13, 30, 40. Yeah, let's do this. I kind of like this. So this is $60 per contract, guys, $60 per contract for next week. So you could take a couple of these as an example, and you're not risking a lot of money here, but you're in the game for a bounce, knowing that the weekly chart is showing that we just did a reversion to the mean, and we're still in a bullish trend as long as we have weekly candles closing on or above that 20. So with that in mind, we could take a butterfly for 63 to 65 cents each, which is $65. And then look what your potential gain is here, guys. If you took this trade, you're taking $65 for one contract. In fact, let me edit this so for those of you that are only doing one. If you take one contract of this butterfly will cost you $66, and your max profit is up to $434. So really on this trade, we're looking for time decay and we're looking for price to rise. Now, if you are not in sync with my timing on this and you want to go later, you can do the same exact type of trade, but just doing it later. You could do this on SPX, by the way, and not have to worry about closing out your trade if you're in profit. Because we are taking an ETF, you need to make sure that if you are in the money by the 4th, that you end up closing your trade. You don't want to be put any type, you don't want to be exercised and have a whole bunch of, SPY ETF as an example. What you want to do is close out your trade and take your profit, because that is the point of option contracts for the most part. So that's what we want to do here for this trade, and I like it, so I'm going to go ahead and send it in. Now, with that in mind, could we look at the chart and say, hey, I want to do both? I don't really know if we're going to be bullish or bearish, but I'm thinking that, we may hit one or the other by, let's say, the same time period next Wednesday. You could actually, is that Tuesday or Wednesday, by the way, guys? For the 4th, I'm going to have to take a look. But anyway, whether it be Tuesday or Wednesday, but you could do the same thing on the opposite end and say, oh no, I'm bearish. I think this may end up getting to 515 because we still have a lot of momentum coming down and it could hit that 200 line. I actually don't think so personally, but we'll see. So any questions on that, guys? Do you have any charts? We got a couple minutes left. Thought I was jealous seller BA puts at 5 from. Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. Oh, backwardation. Yep. Short the Dow. Well, everybody's shorting everything right now, right? But remember, ebbs and flows. Nothing goes in a straight line. And we should probably be seeing a little bit of a bounce, a little bit of a correction. Some people are going to start taking their profits. When they do take their profits, that typically will make the market makers actually start buying calls, selling puts, etc. And so that will change the market as well. But this is actually looking a bit bearish, and we're all the way down here on our SPY daily, coming down to the 524.86. That's still, boy, $4 away, guys. If we take a look at our market watch feature, this is the S&P 500. You can only see a couple names out there that are green, everything bright red. So everyone's following suit here. The names that we do actually have that are starting to look, let's take a look at this. Anything looking long. So we have UNH, MA, MasterCard, let's see, PG, J&J. So defensive names, right? So kind of like a risk off situation now. People are looking for risk off. And so as you can see, actually what's long, you can definitely see some of the trades here. Just by looking at Market Watch, you can visualize, what is what's moving and what's not. Apple looking interesting. Let's take a look at Apple. Wow, Apple just really looking great here. We got a dividend coming up. Typically, stocks will move down towards a dividend date. Just be mindful of that. That's on, let's see, August 12th. So we still got some time. Depending on where we close today, you can see where the weekly expected move is for Apple. Either Apple ends up going sideways for a bit, or it's going to take a pop up to 228.95. We're going to see where it closes today, and that's going to be point of control. If it opens up next week below that point of control, then we have a good probability that we're going to head down and hit that 216 level as support. If not, and it still continues to rise, we have a good probability of hitting that 228, as it is completely strong in the market. How interesting is that? And then AMD also looking good. Now, for whatever reasons, let's see here. AMD bouncing off a daily trend line right here, right? That trend pivot line holding as some support here, but it is a downward going. So we really need to pop above this last pivot low here at 160.61 and see where we're going next. Let me just take a look at a weekly on here. Ooh, on a weekly, it doesn't look so bad, but we did break consolidation AMD at 141. Looking for AMD to get back into its consolidation range of 141. If so, we can get up to 143 next week. And wow, look at that engulfing candle. But you can see, by the way, when we take a look at a chart like this is a weekly chart. When we take a look at a chart like this, and you can see this huge candle, right? Huge engulfing candle. And then the next one smaller. And then the next one, the body of it is smaller. So you can see that the momentum of the downward motion of this stock is lessening. It's lessening. And you can see that actually too with momentum. Got the drop off, and now what are we doing? Kind of going sideways a little bit. And so you can see that not only in the candle pattern, but you can also see that here. Zunaid, sorry about that. I was looking for you a minute ago, and I thought, oh, am I supposed to be on for longer? I wasn't sure. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It would be nice if I unmuted, wouldn't it? It would be nice. But no, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on. Looks like you got a nice little trade out idea there on the AMD side of things. Any other final thoughts from you before we go?
No, looking for some basing, looking for some support here, aren't we all?
Yeah.
You could tell on a weekly chart, this is kind of a decision point. I think next week will be very telling. I would be risk off here. I would play a little lotto bets, but I wouldn't be making any, big, huge investments right here. I would want to see a little bit of basing before we get some healthy price action, figure out if we're still bullish or if we're going to have a deeper correction.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I remember I mentioned to you the Trade Zero, the competition aspect of it. So I just want to kind of quickly share that for the folks that are watching as well. So this is our trading competition that we are putting on. It's powered by Trade Zero. You get a chance to win up to $30,000.
Wow.
Because it's going to be 3 competitions. So the first one starts on September 15th, goes for a month long. And the first place and second place and third place get a cash prize. Nice. And then the second contest that happens, we obviously up the prizes a little bit. And then you've got the third one that we're going to end the year off with $15,000.
Wow.
So if anyone's interested, I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat. You're welcome to join. I just went ahead and signed up obviously last Friday because that's when we kicked off, but I'm excited. Should be fun. A lot of money to give away.
That looks like a lot of fun. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Okay, we'll see you next Friday.